Hello? Don't know if you can hear me, guys. Just say something and you can hear me, please. Uh, can you hear me? Oh, perfect, perfect. Yeah, no, I just wanted to invite someone because they are discussing the war in Ukraine, and they're basically saying that the Russians are killing babies and all that stuff. So I just wanted to discuss with this person. Um, Obviously, I invited her, and it seems like she's not coming. So Angela P1225, that's the person. So if you wanna come live, uh, and then we can discuss what you're talking about. Uh, anyway, so basically what they're saying is that the war in Ukraine started in 2022, right? And this is something that we keep hearing from people, and unfortunately, it's from people that they're not 100% aware of the war, right? So if you have been following this conflict since 2014, you'll know that the war in Ukraine started when during the coup d'état. Basically, there was a coup d'état in 2014 where you have American representatives basically forcing the government in Kiev to be changed. And this was the beginning of the conflict. So I just want Angela P, I don't know if you're there, to just come live and try to discuss this topic because we keep hearing the same thing. So yeah, I'm gonna read the comments. So we got Ukraine is using civilians as human shield. That's an argument. That's an argument that many people have. But to be honest, that's a very strong statement, because that's basically blaming Ukraine for using human beings. That's a war crime, by the way. So I haven't seen evidence of this. I haven't seen evidence of this. But I've seen basically Ukrainians taking coverage in buildings where there are civilians. So there was an Amnesty International report as well. Okay, what is this? Hold on. Uh, invite. Is this someone asking me to invite him? Let me see. 1 second. Okay. I think I'm trying to invite someone here. So it's the first time I do a live on TikTok, so I'm not 100% sure about how these work. But if someone wants to, yeah, Gala, I'm inviting you. For some reason, it's not. Okay, there you go. Cheerful. Goodness, this is so fast. Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. Just trying to get hold of this. Um, do you have packy tissue in your bag? What the hell? What kind of questions are that? Anyways, seriously, I'm not gonna respond to strange and stupid questions. But if someone wants to come live to discuss the topic of Ukraine, please feel free to send a request. I don't know how you do it, but I'm just trying to invite people. Just join in. Anyways, what I was saying is that there's actually some people that believe that the Russians have no reasons to be in Ukraine. Okay, and this is important because the reasons why the Russians are in Ukraine is because there was a coup d'état. It was a coup d'état, and then the government in Ukraine was basically changed by a government that was pro-Western. there's quite a lot of people saying that the previous government in Ukraine was pro-Russian government, but actually it wasn't. In fact, it was a pro-Western government because they were trying to get into the European Union and trying to get closer ties to the West. These are economic ties and all kind of ties. So you can pin a comment now. Okay, who is winning the war? JJ asked. We don't know who's winning the war. Definitely, we don't know. It's not an easy question. And to be honest, a war, you cannot win the war at this moment. You have to give some time. But the question is the aim of Russia, for example, to win the war? Does Russia consider this as a war, or Russia consider this as an intervention? So I definitely think there's not a war. There is a war, but they haven't declared a war. So if there was a war declaration, I can tell you that what you see right now, it will be much more intensified. And countries like Russia, for example, and the USA will be using a different type of weapons. So I go back to what I was talking about. People need to know how the conflict started, how everything started in Ukraine. And the war did not start in 2022, like many people think. All right. I got people in the commentary section telling me that I'm a bad person because I like to see Russians raping babies and things like that. I mean, that's the wrong way. It's the wrong way to conduct an argument. So if you want to argue about the war in Ukraine, the first thing you need to do is to acknowledge history. If you don't acknowledge history, it won't be possible for you to discuss the war in Ukraine. This is something serious, okay? And having comments like the Wagner forces were there pointing a gun at the Crimeans so they could vote for Russia is just dumb. It's just dumb. And anyways, thank you for all the support, for all the fans that are here now, and all the fans that support us every day. Thanks for all the support. I hope you like the content, and I hope it's interesting and it's helping you to understand the conflict more, because I'm learning a lot based on the research I'm doing, and I hope you're doing the same thing. If someone wants to go live, please feel free to send an invite. Welcome, Sergio. So we're discussing here how the war in Ukraine started. So if you on the live and you know how it started, please put a comment, and I will discuss that comment now. I mean, the war started because of the expansion of NATO. There you go. And people don't take this seriously, okay? People actually think, Gala, they think that NATO is just a normal organization. Like it could be, I don't know, the World Health Organization, something like that. But actually, NATO is a military alliance. To create a military alliance, right, to defend the security interests of your country together with other countries that have the same interests. So we know NATO, after the end of the Second World War, it was created to stop the advance of the Soviet Union towards the West, right? So my question is, if the Soviet Union collapsed, what is the purpose of NATO now? What is the purpose? So if NATO doesn't have any purpose at the moment, because all they have been doing is bombing like developing countries, if NATO doesn't have any purpose at the moment, what they should do is to end that organization. However, they're not ending NATO, and just like Ghana say, NATO is expanding, is acquiring more members into the Union. Why? Why do you need more countries to be within the Union? Also a fact, back in 2000, Russia did request joining NATO, and NATO said no to Russia, which clearly shows you what's the real interest of NATO, okay? Expanding NATO means encircling Russia. So you put many countries around Russia that they are hostile in all fronts, basically. And after you do that, what you can do is attack Russia. And if you are Russian, or if you're in the Russian government, that's the main thing you're going to be thinking about. NATO is including all these countries within the union, and all these countries are around our country. It's a military union. They're planning to put missiles pointing at our country. Why are they doing this? So I think NATO expansion, like Galal say, is one of the main reasons why this war started. But I think there are other reasons. Let me read the other comments, yeah? So thank you for your contribution, Galal. So Bin Kivsha say, it's true, another armored depot has been bombed in Ukraine. Three in total, 3 in the last 24 hours. So we did share 2 big ones. One was bombed 3 times though. One was bombed 3 times. So the first attack wasn't a big one. But then the second one, it was a huge explosion basically. So even the earth shake due to that explosion. So what I noticed for the research I'm doing is, which is obvious, right? The Russians are attacking the ammo depots from the Ukrainians. So what this does is it doesn't allow them to conduct a counter-offensive when they want to do it, because they're running out of ammunition. They're running out of all they need to launch the counter-offensive. And this is what we can see. The recent counter-offensive from Ukraine, which they don't call a counter-offensive, they're working on mines. Mate, the land is mined. Why are you sending soldiers to attack the Russians, okay, walking through a mined land? It just makes no sense. I don't know who is giving this command, but it's wrong. And I think this is linked to the disappearance of Zaluzny as well, because this guy is not showing on TV. He appeared in a picture though the other day with Zelensky in a command center or something. They had a meeting, but the guy is being taken away from the Ukrainian command. I don't know if you noticed. And there is another Ukrainian general called Sersky. He's also at the front. He used to be in the command centers before, but now he's always at the front. So yeah, they destroyed quite a lot of ammo depots. And not just in the last 24 hours, in the last 2 weeks, they've been destroying one after the other. So the Russians are using drones and they're using satellites to see where the Ukrainians are resting and where they're keeping the shells and all the stuff, right? And they're attacking these places, which is a good way to win the war, right? So, okay, we got more comments here. We created Putin. What do you mean by that? You mean the West? I would say the West shape the behavior of Putin. I would say that because Putin is a moderate, okay? Keep that in mind. Putin is not an extreme politician in Russia. He's very moderate. And the West, sorry for my French here, they're taking the piss out of this. They're taking the piss because Putin is a moderate and he always looks at international law. Putin wants to do things right. He doesn't want Russia to violate any laws, right? So he goes slowly. He's very diplomatic and he looks for diplomatic solutions. But trust me, if there was another leader in Russia, a more extreme leader, I'm sorry, the war in Ukraine will have finished a while ago because they will have used different weapons to win this war. But Putin is a very moderate politician, and as they say, they created Putin. In fact, they shaped the behavior of Putin because Putin don't used to be this way. But now, and to be honest, Putin changed the way he behaved. At that point when François Hollande, the ex-French president, and Angela Merkel, they came out publicly saying that the Minsk agreements, so the peace agreements that they signed in 2014, was just to make up time to prepare the Ukrainian army and get them ready to take back Crimea and attack Russian territory. So I think that was the point when Putin said, I'm done. I can't trust these people. Why are they signing peace treaties and then violating them? And even before that peace treaty, this is something that people don't talk about. But the number of incursions in the Russian border, the attacks in the Russian border, they were constant even before 2022. So the Ukrainians were all the time poking the Russians, okay, in the border, or some kind of attack in Crimea, or things like that, poke them to react this way. And let's think about this. Let's think about this, okay? So why wouldn't the West want Russia to react aggressively towards them? How to say? Yeah, why wouldn't the West want Russia to react aggressively? People actually think that the West didn't want Russia to react aggressively, but that helps, because if Russia reacts aggressively, what's going to happen is they're going to deplete the weapon reserves, right? What's this? What the hell is this? Okay, I think, one second, guys. I'm new on this, and we got this guy here, obviously doing silly stuff. Let me see how to kick him out. Sorry, guys. Can you still hear me, guys? I silenced him, but I'm sorry, I don't use TikTok much, so I don't really know how to kick this guy out. It's actually funny, someone wasting time just to do this, though. But anyways, how to kick this guy out? Let me see. Really? What the hell? Well, can you guys hear me, please? Can you hear me? If someone can, oh God, if someone can confirm if they can hear me, that'll be good. Yeah, you can hear me, perfect. So I'm just trying to kick this guy out. Don't know how he got here. Okay, just give me 2 seconds, guys. Oh God. Ah, there you go. He's gone. Oh goodness. Okay. Let's go back to our discussion. So we created Putin. That's a really good comment. That's a really good comment. And I was just mentioning it before. Let's move to the next one. Can you make new updates of what's happening in Belgorod? I will. I will if there is something significant happening in Belgorod, because at the moment nothing happened. To be honest with you, I think what the Ukrainians were doing in Belgorod is connected to the failed counter-offensive that they're launching right now at the moment, as we speak. So they just needed a distraction. And one of the main things that was happening, no, one of the main reasons why they have these Ukrainian, Polish, and Russian groups attacking Belgorod, I heard from the military analyst saying that they wanted to divert the Russian drones, basically, because they're doing quite a lot of damage to Western equipment and Ukrainian equipment, and they wanted to divert the attention of these Russian drones towards Belgorod instead of the front line. So they've been doing that. They were doing that, but as soon as the counter-offensive started, they stopped doing that. Also, on the other side of the border between Russia and Ukraine, the Ukrainians were accumulating quite a lot of forces as well. And someone told me that this was a move just to deceive the Russians, basically make the Russians believe that the Ukrainians were about to attack Belgorod, make them think that the actual counter-offensive it will happen in Belgorod. But as you can see, many analysts they did the job basically, and they noticed that the larger conglomeration of forces, it was in the south, in Zaporozhye. So the Belgorod move did not help the Ukrainians, to be honest. And the squads they were sending into Belgorod, they were just suicide squads. And if you notice, these squads, which have Russian nationalists, Ukrainian, Polish, and other mercenaries as well, using Western equipment to attack Russian territory, which is something that the West said they're not going to do. Anyways, these little groups, all they wanted to do is to attract attention there, one, and two, all this started happening right after Bakhmut fell. Okay, so they wanted to divert attention from Bakhmut to Belgorod, and it happened. It happened. If you notice, if you live in the West, do you notice that the fall of Bakhmut wasn't mentioned that much? It was made public on the first day it happened, right? But after that, everything changed. Everything changed completely. So yeah, about on Belgorod, as you know, they created how they call it. They created a kind of regional army of volunteers, and what they're going to be doing is they call them territorial defense. These are just normal people. Some of them they have military experience. Some of them they don't. But these people have been they've been trained by Wagner, the Wagner forces, just to defend their territory, right? So as soon as they heard this, we started hearing less about the incursions in Belgorod. I'm not saying that they haven't been incursions, but what's happening now, the Russians have their eye in that area as well. So every time the Ukrainians and the whatever, they're trying to cross the Russian border, they're getting destroyed. There were 3 groups that attempted to cross the Russian border in the last 3 days, and they were destroyed. God, another person asking to join. Okay, I'm not going to accept anyone unless they put a comment here explaining to me why they want to join. I don't want that, what happened before. Anyways, let me continue reading. Imagine like have nukes on the Mexico border. Sorry, JJ, I hope that update helped you on Belgorod. Gala says, imagine like you have nukes on the Mexico. Exactly. Ukraine is so close to Russia. And let's think about this, because Zelensky was basically threatening Russia. They were saying that they will put Western nuclear weapons in the territory. So why the hell are you going to say this? Why are you going to put Western military weapons in your territory? Just to threaten Russia. The latest additions to NATO, okay, the Scandinavian countries, they did confirm that they're not putting nuclear weapons in their territory because they don't want to be a threat to Russia. But Ukraine has been so violently saying this, like, we're going to do it, we're all against Russia, we don't want Russian people. And they have been doing that for 8 years, basically. So I'm going to read the next comment. And oh yeah, sorry, responding to that comment, imagine, this happened before anyways, it wasn't in Mexico, but it was in Cuba. The Soviets put missiles in Cuba, and then they have to the Americans have to reach an agreement with the Soviets to withdraw those missiles. But the Americans basically almost invaded Cuba, you know, in the Bay of Pigs. They attacked the country because of that. And why? Because they were concerned about their own security interests being threatened by the Soviets, right? So this is something very similar. So all the countries, basically, they look after their own security interests, and they will take similar actions to what Russia did back in 2014 and back in 2022. So America wouldn't act differently, to be honest with you. So even if the war ends, it will take centuries to fix Ukraine. Definitely. I mean, you have a massive company called BlackRock. They're going to be managing the Ukrainian debt. And I don't know if you noticed, but the Zelensky government, they changed many laws in Ukraine regarding the acquisition of land by foreign companies and by foreign individuals as well. And this facilitated the acquisition of land by these companies. And they don't buy the land, but they use the land for business purposes. The problem is, if Ukraine doesn't have money to pay the debts with these companies, okay, they're gonna have to give up land, okay? And this is something really worrying for a country. So Ukraine at the moment is surviving on life support, basically. They're connected to a money machine that is coming from the West and from the United States. And if these countries in the West and the USA, they stop the financing of Ukraine, what's going to happen is the Ukrainian economy is going to fall. They won't be able to function. They won't be able to work because the amount of debts is huge. And there are financial institutions that they've forgiven part of the debt to Ukraine, but even this is not enough to recover to the state in which they were before. So after the war, as Galal say, what's going to happen to the Ukrainian economy? And when we talk about the economy, we talk about Ukrainian society, Ukrainian people. What's going to happen to these people? Even now, social programs have been stopped. There's quite a lot of people in Ukraine that they're getting the social support completely cut because the government doesn't have enough money to pay for it. And I swear it's sad to see this. It is sad because we see many countries following this path, and look at them today. They just completely destroyed. They did not move forward, they did not advance at all because there's a group of people that wanted to be part of another group of people, okay, but they didn't take into consideration the political inclination of other people in the other side of the country. And they decided to use force to remove the current government and change it for a pro-Western one. And this is what happened when you do this. And there are many examples in the world. So can you make, again, Ukraine lost new Leopard tank with kamikaze drone. Yeah, I saw that video. That bloody kamikaze drone is strong. It is strong. So as I said, the attacks in Belgorod, they are a distraction. So they're trying to get these drones diverted towards Belgorod, and they were doing it at the same time that they were advancing in Zaporozhye, but it didn't work. The Russians saw them moving this way, and they stopped them completely. But yeah, I'm sorry, I made a couple of videos about the Leopards. I don't know how you want me to pronounce it, but Leopard tanks. I made a couple of videos, and why I'm so focused on this. Okay, if you live in the West and you watch the Western media, you will be surprised at the amount of times that they say that the Leopard tanks are going to change the world completely. Before that, it was the Switchblade kamikaze drones. I don't know if you remember, but you have TV channels, everyone saying this. The Switchblade kamikaze drones, they're going to destroy all the Russian tanks and all that. So they're using the exact same narrative with the Leopard tanks, okay? And if the Americans did send Abrams, they would have been saying the exact same thing. So what is this? This is exaggeration just to get people hyper about the war and to support Ukraine, and obviously don't think about the economic problems that they are occurring in their countries. So yes, how can a bloody kamikaze drone destroy Leopard tank, which was basically introduced as an invincible weapon, right? Okay, next one. So we got Nassim and a lot of Bradley. Oh yeah. I haven't actually seen the footage of a drone, of a Russian drone destroying a Bradley vehicle. So if you guys got that, please share it. Haven't seen it yet, but I also noticed that the Russian drones, they don't destroy them completely unless they hit the area in which the tank, in which the diesel tank is located. So if they hit that area or where the ammo is located, which is normally at the back, if they hit that area, you see a small explosion, and then the tank or whatever vehicle starts burning, and that's how they destroy it. So as you can see, the drones have changed how wars are fought, innit? And this is something that people are not even thinking. They keep saying NATO is going to go into the war to fight against Russia. Mate, Russia has advanced so much in modern warfare, yeah, because they've been fighting this war. This is modern warfare. They're using the most up-to-date technology in war. So imagine if the NATO countries now, without experience in modern warfare against a country like Russia, like this is not Iraq, this is not Libya, these are not insurgents in Afghanistan. This is a nuclear superpower with soldiers that they fought in many countries, with soldiers that fought within the country in Chechnya, soldiers that fight in different countries in Africa, you know, and they fought a war in Georgia. So these are tough. These are tough people, right? So sorry, this one. Yeah. Okay. So basically, It is indeed. It is indeed. Okay, I'm gonna read more comments. So I'm really slow on the comments due to that intervention for that guy. The Ukraine wants to keep the war going. For example, the drone attack in Moscow. They want to extend. Let me understand this comment well, because it's got quite a lot of content. So, Ukraine. I think when we say Ukraine, we need to understand that we're referring to the West, because I don't think, and this is just me thinking, I don't think Ukraine is making its own decisions unilaterally. I think every single decision that Ukraine makes is it has to be approved by the West. So decisions such as bombing Russia, decisions such as launching a counter-offensive, all these decisions, I believe, they have to be approved by the West. So the decision to attack Moscow is a difficult one, because the Western governments, they keep saying that Ukrainians did this unilaterally and they don't support that action. But at the same time, they continue supporting Ukraine, and I haven't seen I haven't seen these Western governments blaming Ukraine publicly for attacking the Kremlin. Like, what are they doing? This is nonsense. Anyways, I don't know why they're doing that. But yeah, there you go. So the reason for this, could this be an extension to the war? Let's think about this together, yeah? We got the war. Who is making money out of this war? So definitely companies that sell weapons, they're making money out of it. Business is business, right? Then how they make money? They make money through governments that are basically act as salesmen, okay, to different countries, and they sell weapons and they secure long contracts with other countries, right? So is it in the interest of Ukraine or on the interest of Russia to prolong the war? Well, I think actually it's in both parties they're interested in prolonging the war. Ukraine, because basically we can't even talk about the government of Ukraine, because the West controls and dominates the government of Ukraine and gives command to them. So this is the West basically giving commands to Ukraine to extend the war anyhow, okay? The attack on the Kremlin, what it did, it infuriated Russians, okay? It got them really angry. Like, the war is over there. You're actually fighting a war against the people that are invading your country. But what you did today is bombing or trying to bomb the Kremlin. So you bringing the war inside of Russia. So there's quite a lot of people that were concerned about the security, okay? And did that prolong the war? Of course you prolong the war. Of course it does. Because the more you attack Russia, the more people you get supporting the war. But not only that, the Russians have their objectives, okay? You might agree or disagree with them. One of them is the demilitarization of Ukraine. And what's the reason why they want to demilitarize Ukraine? If you demilitarize a country, or if you completely destroy the future, capabilities to rebuild the army, that country is not going to be a threat to you anymore, because they won't have a functional army, right? That's one. The second one is to ensure that the Ukrainians are not able to attack the Russian territory using long-range missiles. So depending on what missiles they get from the West, each missile has its own reach, right? So the longer it is, the longer the Russians will need, the Russians will capture more territory. So if the missile can reach 100 kilometers, what the Russians are saying is they're going to capture an additional 100 kilometers within Ukraine, okay? As long as they continue to be a threat, the Russians don't want the Ukrainians to continue bombing Russia. So they will increase the buffer zone by 100 kilometers if they have those missiles, right? There is another objective, which is very controversial, which is the denazification of Ukraine. When we talk about denazification, we mean destroying the Nazi threat. Okay, this is historical. The Russians fought during the Second World War against Nazi Germany, okay? They lost many people. We're talking about millions. And when you get people with Nazi insignias in the border, now in Belgorod, attacking the cities, the Russians get worried, because the Germans, they wanted to march all the way to Moscow. Okay, so did Napoleon, but the last threat was Nazi Germany. So they don't want to see that again. These are millions of Russians that died. So when you send people like that, the Russians are like, nah, we're not having this. So that's another objective. And with the Nazi threat, like they call it, as you know as well, Western Ukraine, there was a group of individuals there that I'm not going to mention, that they collaborated with the Nazis, okay? And they killed quite a lot of people, Ukrainians, Russians, Polish, all kind of people. They conducted massacres. And these people, just like everyone, they have kids, grandkids, and their grandkids, they follow the same ideology. And today, they have a big movement in Ukraine. They're actually brainwashing people there. I'm sorry for using this word, but this is what I saw. They're brainwashing people there into thinking that committing crimes against the Russian-speaking population is the best way to end with the Russian threat that they have in the country at the moment. So that's another goal. And the fourth goal is to, let me think before I get a mistake here. The fourth goal is to ensure that the West is not able to attack Russia. So Russia has its own security interests, right? So one of them is to ensure that the country is protected against attacks from the West. So as Galal said earlier, expanding NATO, what actually does is jeopardize the security interests of Russia. You don't want a military alliance next to your border. And this is simple. Russia is a superpower, okay? There is a nuclear power. So they don't want another nuclear power to get closer to the border. This is simple. Relationships, when it comes to international relations, they don't work like the relationship between you and your wife, or you and your father or your mother. They work completely differently. Countries, they have their own interest, and the interest sometimes seems to be aligned, okay? It tends to be the same interest, which actually means that just like Russia has a security interest, the US has it as well, and other countries that have it. So expanding NATO is in favor of the security interests of countries within the European Union, or within NATO, and also the USA. But it's not on the interest of Russia. Because having a strong power next to your border, it won't help you to prevent a nuclear catastrophe in your country. So you need a buffer, okay? A buffer gives you enough time to react to a nuclear attack. So just look at what the Ukrainians are doing now. They're attacking, well, some people say that the Ukrainians blew up the dam. There's enough evidence to prove that. But look at that dam, what it did. It flooded the entire area. You got people, they lost their houses. Everything they worked for. They lost it completely. So if they are capable of doing that and kill people for 8 years, what makes you think that if NATO gave missiles to Ukraine, they're not going to use it against Russia? So what Russia is doing is ensuring that this scenario doesn't take place in the future. As simple as that. So this is something that people need to understand. Also, let me give you another example, which is closer to a nuclear catastrophe. Okay, in Zaporozhye, there's a nuclear plant, right? And the Russians were blamed by the West of shelling themselves within the nuclear power plant. Who believes this? Anyways, they were saying that the Russians were shelling themselves, trying to blow up a nuclear power plant. But obviously, it wasn't the Russians. The Ukrainians were shelling the Russians there. So, if they hit a nuclear generator, what would have happened is a nuclear catastrophe. So, the Ukrainians were willing to do that in their own territory. That would have killed their own people, the Russian soldiers there, and it would have created an environmental crisis in Europe, basically. Okay? So if they were willing to do that, what makes you think that if NATO expands and incorporates Ukraine and it puts nuclear weapons to the territory, what makes you think that they're not going to use them? I know that the USA will be the one controlling these weapons, but what makes you think that Ukraine wouldn't be encouraging the US to do that? Okay? Okay, I hope that helps. Okay. You're doing great. Oh, thank you, Deep Sign, if you're still there. Thank you very much. And thank you for everyone's support. Thank you. Okay. Is it pronounced plantain or plantain? Can you see this? Can you see what people do, right? Okay, this is a mature space, okay? So I'm not gonna read those comments anymore. Okay, I mean the war is already over. Ukraine could not recover. That's a difficult one though. Saying that the war is over when the Ukrainians continue attacking Russian territory and the Russian population are getting more and more worried about this, I think is too premature to say this. I would say that the Russians have the upper hand in this war, definitely. And you have all these NATO countries, all of them combined, sending weapons to Ukraine, money and everything, and they are unable to destroy one country, one single country. So what's going on here? And this is why people call NATO a paper tiger, okay? Because they only attack third world countries from the air, basically. Unless you have like the USA invading Iraq or something like that. But if you remember in 2011, the war in Libya, NATO, all they did was to basically become the air support for the jihadists, okay? The same jihadists that killed Muammar Gaddafi and all that. What NATO was doing was giving them air cover when they were attacking the troops in Tripoli. Oh, it's all right. No worries, Galal. Thank you for asking all those questions. So yeah, the reason why I started this live was just to respond to some comments made by a person, which she continues sending comments anyways. So my question is, why do you guys think that the war in Ukraine started? Because there is quite a lot of people saying that the war started because Putin, not even Russia, they're saying Putin woke up one day. He was really mad and he decided to basically invade Ukraine. But as I said before, history is important when it comes to understanding and analyzing conflicts. Okay, the world is not conflict free. Conflicts have existed throughout history, and this is not a different conflict. Okay, so there are quite a lot of people putting sentiments into this, just being very sentimental towards the war and looking at the casualties in the civilian population and all that. But wars are ugly. Wars are ugly. There's no such thing as Russia is launching a brutal war. Wars are brutal. Simple as that. So it is important to understand the reason why the war started in order to find a solution to the war. If there is no solution to the war, people are going to continue dying. And if people continue to die, the future of Ukraine, of Russia, of the entire world is going to be darker. It's going to be worse than what we see at the moment. So we've got another comment from Henry 8. Thank you for your comment. Which countries will mostly be affected if Zaporozhye nuclear plant explodes? I don't know, man. I'm not an expert on that. But I read quite a lot about the Chernobyl nuclear catastrophe. And I mean, Ukraine mainly will be affected. Then Poland will be affected as well. And even though it's in the south, Russia will be affected 100%, definitely. But I think the main problem is the air that carries out the pollution to other countries. Okay, and this will be the main problem because during the Chernobyl nuclear catastrophe, you have countries like the United Kingdom, okay, that were also affected by these radioactive particles flying all the way to the United Kingdom, and then the rain, basically they form clouds, and then it rains, and this water falls in the country, and then you have animals like cows, sheep, eating grass that has been eating grass after the rain falls, and the milk and even the meat becomes radioactive as well. So I think if the Zaporozhye plant explodes, if that happens, the whole continent of Europe will be affected. and also some countries within Asia. But Russia, 100% will be affected. Ukraine will be affected as well. Okay. Yeah, so guys, that was the topic of today, how the war started. If some of you don't know it, the war did not start in 2022. Please, if someone thinks that the war started in 2022, please leave your comment below. But if you don't believe so, and you think the same way as I think, that the war started in 2014 or even earlier, yeah, please put your comment as well, because there's quite a lot of people saying that the war started in 2022, and that Russia decided to invade Ukraine unprovoked. Okay, let's deal with that. What unprovoked means? Unprovoked means that no one provoked Russia to attack Ukraine. We highlighted a few points here regarding the expansion of NATO, regarding the supply of money, financing of Ukraine by Western powers. Not only that, since 2014 or even earlier than that, there's a report from a journalist that basically got information from the CIA in which they show that they were training Ukrainians way before 2014, just in case Russia attack. So why are you gonna why they not training people in, I don't know, let's say Zimbabwe, yeah, just in case Russia attack? Why are they not doing that? Because they knew that Russia will attack. And how they knew that Russia will attack is because they themselves, they were poking the Russians. They were basically forcing them to attack. And one thing that I heard from one political analyst is that if Russia did not attack Ukraine, by the way, the head of the Ukrainian intelligence, Mr. Vodanov, he also confirmed that the war was inevitable. That means that it will have happened one way or the other, because Ukraine wanted it, and according to him, the Russians also wanted it. So, yeah, I think that Russia was forced to react. Otherwise, if Russia didn't react, they would have been in the same situation they were doing in the 90s with Yeltsin, where you have a country which is pretty much impoverished. The whole population is impoverished, and you have Western companies or companies from different countries in the world exploiting the economy of the country. And I think this was the main objective of the West. And what happened with the West? The West did not plan this properly. They did not plan this war properly. The current American government, they actually just hate Russia. They just want to see Russia decimated completely and exploit Russia as much as possible, because Russia, like Obama said, is a petrol station, but everyone needs petrol, right? But it's more than that. It's more than that. There are beautiful people there, and there are many resources. Russia has got the potential to become a big superpower, and I think this is where they are heading. So the West, instead of getting China and Russia to fight against each other in order to prevent the development in the way they do it now, in order to prevent economic ties, what they did is to put them together. Why did the USA threaten Russia and then threaten China at the same time? Why would you do that? Well, look at what's happening now. You got many countries de-dollarizing, which means getting rid of the dollar reserves and stop using the dollar as a fiat currency. And they are looking for alternatives, such as using their own currencies. So this war is huge, and it's affecting the whole world. I know some people don't want me to talk about Europe because I'm African, okay? Even though I live here, but some people don't want me to talk about Europe because I have to be white to talk about that, according to these people. Not all white people say that anyways. But yeah, the reason why I talk about the war in Ukraine is because it's having a huge effect on the prices of everything. Food, petrol, and everything. Oh, hold on. We got a question here. Okay, Henry 8. Oh no, that's the one I dealt with before. No, you're welcome. You're welcome. If you got any more questions, just ask. If someone wants to come live and share their opinion, please do it. I mean, you're more than welcome. I wanna hear everyone. I want people to challenge me, okay? So if there are people that disagree with what I'm saying, just join the live and talk here, okay? And I say that there is a person in the commentary section, she's just fighting with me every single day. And she's basically saying that everything I'm saying is not true. All the information I share is not true. Let me tell you one thing, guys. The information we share, and as many people has pointed out, is pro-Russian, okay? We are not pro anything, seriously. We just look at the world, we analyze it, and we share the information we think is true to our eyes. Simple as that. It doesn't mean that it's 100% true, and we never claim it to be 100% true, apart from one video, because I found concrete evidence to prove that the Ukrainians attacked that dam. Anyways, people are free to share their opinion, okay? So when people come in the commentary section and they want to argue, please invite me to a live. I'm willing to come live to discuss the war in Ukraine or any other war. We cover geopolitics, we cover the whole world, different things happening around the world. But obviously, the focus now is on Ukraine because people are struggling, okay? People here in the West, they are struggling. People in Africa, what some people want me to talk about Africa, people in Africa, they're struggling because of this. The prices of everything is going up, okay? So the war in Ukraine, it hasn't been helpful for the world. So in terms of developments in Ukraine, the last developments I saw on different sources in Telegram was the Ukrainians have actually kind of stopped the counteroffensive in the south, okay? And one important fact is that the people that are sent at the front in the south for the counteroffensive, they were untrained people. These are people that they were not trained at the correct level. And then you have someone said, I don't know if you've seen the videos of Ukrainian officers kidnapping people on the streets and putting them inside a van and sending them to Bakhmut. So there are a few people that they actually experienced that, and some they surrender to the Russians as soon as they got to the front. But anyways, apparently these are the people that are sent at the front when they were attacking in Zaporozhye, and they were walking on top of mines. Like the whole terrain was mine and they knew it, and they just send the people, they send Western equipment to walk on top of mines. And you've seen the videos, you've seen the pictures we share, like Leopard tanks, we saw Bradleys, we saw all type of equipment destroy. Like, what the hell? A line of tanks completely destroyed. Why? Who the hell is giving commands to these people, and who trained them this way? Because that's not a good training. Or maybe who is forcing them to do it? There is a second line of defense in Ukraine. This second line is composed of nationalists, okay? And what the job is if there is a group of soldiers that decide to surrender, the job is to force them to go to the front, one way or the other. And I won't tell you what is the other, but there are quite a lot of reports of this other form, that Ukrainian soldiers are getting abused by their own people because they decide not to attack or whatever. Apart from that, they have been attacking in other fronts as well. In Bakhmut, the Ukrainians have taken territory. It's a tiny piece of territory, but good enough for the propaganda, isn't it? And then I think the Russian forces, they retake that territory. Bear in mind that the Wagner forces, they left Bakhmut, and people actually think that the Russian soldiers that they are there, they are not as strong as the Wagner forces. Oh my God, you have to see the soldiers they sent into Bakhmut. These guys are way more aggressive than the Wagner forces. They might not be as specialized in urban combat like the Wagner forces are, but these guys are trained to defend a position. They are tough. They are tough, and they're not only tough, they also have tanks with them and all the Russian military vehicles, which actually makes them stronger than Wagner, because Wagner wasn't a mechanized. They were not a mechanized unit. And also, just to clear the doubts around Wagner, because some people actually think that Prigozhin is the commander of Wagner, and he's a guy with no military experience. Prigozhin is a stakeholder in the company, and that's it. Some people say that Prigozhin is the founder of Wagner. I advised you to do some research about Wagner forces because he is not the commander, and he is not the owner of Wagner. And I don't want to go too far into this argument, but I found information, and so I heard people sharing this information as well, that the Wagner forces, they're controlled by the Russian army. It's just another unit within the Russian army, but they specialize on that urban conflict, training people overseas. And these are people with a lot of experience in war. Just look how they destroy Ukrainian forces in Bakhmut. I mean, the Wagner forces right now, they're on top when it comes to military people. Right? I haven't seen a more effective force than the Wagner forces. Anyways, as I said before, they're not controlled by Prigozhin. Prigozhin is not the general or the commander. Actually, it's the Russian army, and the Russian army, they have commanders there within Wagner, and they're part of the Russian chain of command as well. So it's not like Prigozhin decides what Wagner is going to do, but rather the Russian Ministry of Defense decides what Wagner is going to do. And I know it's difficult to understand and to believe because there's quite a lot of conflict now between between Prigozhin and the Russian Ministry of Defense. But some people say that these are psyops, so this is psychological operations launched by the Russians to convince the Ukrainians or something. And to be honest, there is evidence because do you remember the Wagner forces wanted to withdraw from Bakhmut on the 10th of 10th of May, right? And they did say that publicly. Prigozhin said that publicly. And what happened after is the Ukrainians attack. They counter-attack in Bakhmut, but the Wagners, they're still there. And they managed to destroy them, and then they decided to take the city, okay? And the same thing is happening in Avdiivka and other cities as well, where the Russians are deciding now to take cities instead of creating traps for the Ukrainian soldiers to go in there and destroy as many as possible. What they're doing is taking cities now. So I think the next objective for the Russians. Well, hold on. I don't know if you noticed, but before the Ukrainians launched their so-pronounced counter-offensive, what happened is the Russians got tired of waiting for the counter-offensive, and they started attacking different cities in eastern Ukraine. And actually, they created another cauldron in another city, Avdiivka. I'll share that with you. And they started attacking. And when the Ukrainians noticed that the Russians started attacking, and they just didn't care about what's going on in Belgorod, the Ukrainians launched the counter-offensive. Okay, they launch it. Now, let's see what's going to happen, because I don't know if I can believe the reports from the Russian Ministry of Defense at the time, because the figures they're providing are huge. They're catastrophic. The figures they're providing are mad, basically. They're saying each day they're killing between 1,000 to 2,000 Ukrainian units each day. Someone did say to me that actually this can't be true. This can be true. Why? It can be true because the Ukrainians are advancing in the south, in Zaporozhye, without air support. So they're advancing with pickup trucks, just like ISIS was doing in Syria. With pickup trucks where they're advancing with Bradleys and 1 or 2 Leopard tanks, and they don't have air support. Therefore, what's happening, you got Russian Alligator helicopters, right? And you also have Russian jets throwing 500 bombs to these troops from the distance. So they see them advancing and they throw these massive bombs, which actually can kill up to 200 to 300 units if they are all together. So I was thinking about it. I said, well, it could be true. It could be true, but we need evidence, right? It's not like I want to see dead bodies. But if you launch such a statement, you need to show us that you killed so many people. So it is sad. Some people are not happy because I say it's sad to see Ukrainian soldiers dying. Let me tell you one thing. Not all the individuals in the Ukrainian army are extremists. Not all of them are Nazis or far-right individuals, right? Some of them are actually people, like ordinary people, that have been forced to join the army and go to the front line. And we did share many videos showing Ukrainian recruiter officers kidnapping people on the streets. So some of these people that have been kidnapped are the guys who are now in the front. So that's what I'm saying. It's sad to see these people dying, okay? Because they're just normal people. They have their own life. And the government has forced them to go to the front, to lose their life for nothing. For nothing. You don't give orders to people to walk over minefields. That tells you the mentality of the Ukrainian government and how much they're caring at the moment for the people. Okay, we got a question here from Bain Kipshot. So, bro, so on what grounds did Prigozhin threaten to withdraw his troop if he's not in charge of Wagner? To be honest with you, Wagner, according to what I read, okay, it was created by the Russian government, okay, and the reason why they created Wagner is because the Russian army was too limited by law in the kind of things they could do when it comes to warfare. So there were certain things that they would be considered war crimes, and the Russian army didn't want to be blamed for such things. But at the same time, they knew that they needed to implement certain techniques, okay, I call it techniques, just to threaten and scare the enemy. So what they did, they created this Wagner group, okay, two Russian intelligence, I think it was two Russian intelligence services. They created the Wagner forces, and they couldn't keep them under the Russian government control publicly, so they have to create this separate company with stakeholders. Prigozhin is a wealthy man, okay, and he volunteered to buy part of the stock of that company, the larger one. So that's why some people call him the owner of Wagner. But when it comes to commands, Wagner does not take commands from Prigozhin. As you say, on what ground he threatened to withdraw his troops? All right, on what ground? When he said that, what did happen? The Wagner forces did not leave Bakhmut until the job was done, okay? That was the job, to take Bakhmut, one way or the other, simple. What the problem with Prigozhin was, he was bragging about not having enough artillery. It wasn't true. The Russian ministry on the website, they share documents showing the amount of artillery and ammunition that they send to each to each troops right at the front. And there is a section for the assault forces. They don't call them Wagner in the reports. They call it assault forces. They're getting the most if you compare it to other fronts in the south, in the north. The Wagner forces were getting the most artillery shells and the most ammunition. But Prigozhin was complaining that they were not getting enough. However, if you say that publicly, and you know you're fighting an enemy that relies on this kind of misinformation, you're going to throw out information that is not true just to deceive your enemy, convince him on something, and then what you do is you, you encourage the enemy to take an action, okay, believing or thinking the lies that you just say. So some people are saying that this is just psychops. This is him cannot trick the Ukrainians and trying to get them to send more troops. Because Wagner's, I repeat, they did not leave until Bakhmut was completely taken. Simple as that. So him threatening to leave, he just left when the Russian government told him to leave. And after they left, they were replaced by, I can say, the toughest guys in the Russian army. These guys are tough. I got a friend who was telling me this. He analyzes the conflict as well. He was telling me the guys that are sent to Bakhmut, they're really strong and they're motorized. They can defend their positions for as long as it's take, and then they're not backing down. Yeah, I don't It's not even, I don't think. It's Prigozhin, he's not. He's not the commander. He doesn't give any orders to Wagner when it comes to military. They follow orders from Surovikin, who is actually the commander in basically, we could say the commander in chief, okay? And then he's the one that designed Bakhmut as a trap, and he's the one who was giving orders in Bakhmut what to do and at what moment. He used the same tactic in Syria, okay? He used the same tactic in Syria against the Islamic State anyways. So we know it was him. And the Ukrainians, for some reason, they fall into that lie. And they fall into Prigozhin lie, and they fall into the Russians lie, and they kept saying, Bakhmut is a village. Bakhmut has no significance whatsoever, okay? But why they kept sending so many forces? According to some reports, the amount of Ukrainian soldiers that died in Bakhmut is 75,000. And a total of 150,000 if you count the wounded as well. Wounded that they won't be able to walk or come back to the front at all. That's a large number. And I know some people, they can't believe that because this number is huge, okay? How can the Russians kill so many people? Well, the Ukrainians kept sending people all the time. And this was hard to watch. But there was a video of Ukrainians using agricultural vehicles just to, bury Ukrainian corpses. And I swear there were like 300 corpses. They just put them all together in a pit. No respect whatsoever. They put all together in a pit. Boom. That video is hardcore. It will hurt your feelings, to be honest. But they did that, and I saw it. So as I say, I don't think, responding to your question, Bin, I don't think that Prigozhin has any power apart from money he invested in the company. So he's interested in increasing his stock in the company and gain more business. So think about this. What the world is seeing in Bakhmut right now, or what they've seen in Bakhmut, and what they've seen from the Wagner forces, is a formidable force. So you're going to have many countries signing contract with Wagner forces just to provide security. And I know of 3 or 4 countries in the African continent that have requested support from the Wagner forces, from Wagner, to provide them training and also to help them fighting against certain groups of individuals that are threatening the governments. So it was staged and the West was eating up work perfectly. Thanks, Luke and George. It was staged and the West was... I think this is what I did mention before, right? I can't say everything that Prigozhin say it was a stage. Luke and George. To be honest, there was a video. It was hard to watch as well. Well, according to Prigozhin, those people on the floor, they were Wagner soldiers. They could have well been Wagner soldiers, but they could have been Ukrainian soldiers. And this is something that people don't say too much, innit? The people he shows on the floor, they could have been Ukrainians as well. But we had a very bad video, man, showing these corpses and him shouting, blaming the Russian Ministry of Defense, blaming the Russian government for losing all these people because he didn't get ammo. But to be honest with you, after this, the Russians did not throw him away. That's the thing as well. Think about this, yeah. That's the thing as well. How comes, and I think that's the question we should ask ourselves actually, how comes Prigozhin can say all this stuff about the Russian Ministry of Defense, about the Russian government, not about Putin, but he's attacking everyone else, okay? How come Prigozhin launch a war against Shoigu, for example, okay, and continuing his position? How comes? In every war, you need an aggressive dog. In every war, you need an aggressive dog. And this dog has got chains. Trust me, it's got chains. So whoever is holding the chains is the one that controls Prigozhin. Because the enemy is going to be scared of an aggressive dog barking, okay? And you always need that. You need a moderate person on TV. You need an aggressive person on TV to carry out the war. This is just psychological warfare. So as the saying here, it how do you say? It was a stage, and the West was eating up well perfectly. Yeah, what the hell? The West is how to say? The West is experienced in war. Okay, so if the West is experienced in war, what the hell did happen in Bakhmut? Who was advising the Ukrainians in Bakhmut? Why did he tell them that it was actually a trap set up by the Russians? The Russians made it publicly. They made it public. They did say that Bakhmut has been set up as a meat grinder city, okay? Meat grinder city. And the objective was to destroy as many Ukrainian soldiers as possible, to just lure them here into Bakhmut and destroy them completely. Man, they're saying it to you in public. How comes you don't listen to that? And this is what we get in from the West constantly. If you just imagine you're fighting an enemy, okay, and you underestimate the enemy, you underestimate them, you actually think that your enemy is the weakest one compared to you, and you actually think that the enemy is weaker than what he appears to be. Okay, so this is what the West is doing. I know that the Pentagon and Western intelligence know that Russia is not weak. They actually know that Russia is building up its military. They're building it up basically compared to before, and they know Russia is not weak. But what they're selling to us, to the public, is that Russia is a weak country. Russia is not a superpower. Man, they have nuclear weapons. So it doesn't matter what you do in Ukraine, the end, it will be the same. So if Russia ends up losing, they will use the nuclear weapons, isn't it? Anyways, let's see. Oh, thank you for your contribution, Luke and Judge. As this event, if you can explain that a bit more, Chandas. And Sutha, guys. And Sutha, so what going on counter-offensive? Yeah, I did cover that earlier, but do you know the Ukrainians they started the, how can we call this? Because the Ukrainians have been attacking different places, always. They've always been doing it, okay? But the latest attacks, they look pretty much like a counter-offensive. They're sending way too many troops to the Russian to the Russian fronts, basically. And what's happening? The Russians they did set up a provisional line of defense in front of the first line of defense, and they mine the territory. And the Ukrainians are walking over mines. So most of the casualties from the Ukrainian side is due to mines. The Russians are mining the territory from the distance. They got specialized vehicles to mine the territories from like far away. They don't have to be there. So the Ukrainians know that the territory is mined, but it seems like they're sending large groups of people and hardware to remove the mines using people, and then they will send a stronger force. Because what we see in Zaporozhye now is attack after attack. It's non-stop, okay? It's non-stop. They're doing it in the morning, they're doing it in the afternoon, they're doing it during the night, okay? And they're sending reserves all the time. So you send the first force, they die. You send reserves. You send the reserves, they take 200 meters from the Russians. The Russians move back, they fall back, and they start attacking with artillery, okay? Then the Ukrainians fall back again because they run out of ammo or whatever, or they've been encircled by the Russians. And then they send another wave the next day. So it's wave after wave, just trying to break through the Russian defenses. If they manage to break through the Russian defenses, which is difficult, these defenses are tough. There was a Western military analyst who analyzed the defenses created by the Russians, and he clearly says how are they gonna go through this? It's not possible, and the objective is to break through Zaporozhye and trying to reach Crimea, so they can cut the Russians' supply to the peninsula and then take over Crimea. So it's gonna be difficult. But let's see what happens. But at the moment, every single attack that the Ukrainians have done in different fronts, and I'm talking they're done in the north, they're done in Bakhmut, they're done in Avdiivka, they also attack the south in Zaporozhye. They're also trying to cross the river as well. They're trying to cross the Dnipro River. All their attempts failed. And the Western media is not saying anything about this. Mate, we want to hear the truth. That's all we want. We want to hear the truth. We want, we want transparency. So if Ukraine is losing 200 soldiers a day, just say it. Just say it. That's it. Same for Russia, because Russia, actually, they provide the number of casualties, but every 3 to 4 months, they don't provide it on a daily basis. Okay? What Shoigu did the other day, he did confirm that. But they're quite good at providing the casualties from the other side. So from both sides, we want the truth. But to be honest with you, when it comes to reporting, there are so many Russian military bloggers that they get information from the ground, that the information you get from the Russian sources is overwhelmed. And you are able to cross-reference this information and to create a picture of what is actually happening. Because many of them, they're saying the same thing. When you get different sources with different political views saying the same thing, it means this is exactly what is happening. And from the West, we're not getting this. Seriously, we're getting some rubbish military analyst who used to be in the military, a sergeant, a colonel, someone that used to be in the military, telling you Ukraine is winning. And you're just there watching TV. Yeah, Ukraine is winning. Ukraine is winning. This is what you get every day. And this is the main reason. Well, this is the main reason why many people decided to look for alternative sources. How comes you're getting information on TikTok, like about the war in Ukraine? Information that you're not getting on TV. That clearly tells you that there is something, they have a plan. They have a plan for your mind regarding this war. Okay? So a little away from Ukraine, but how do you weigh the dangers of AI integration with nukes? What the hell? I haven't read about that. It's not a topic that I can help you with, to be honest with you. I like to read quite a lot about artificial intelligence, but man, if you put that on nukes, that's crazy, isn't it? We've seen too many science fiction movies showing us how artificial intelligence take over humanity because they actually think that we are evil, we kill each other for no reason and all that, and the robots are the rational ones. They're the ones that think straight. And then they think that the best way to end up all the problems in the world is eliminating the human race, innit? So imagine you give them nukes. Goodness. No, I don't know I don't know what the purpose is to implement artificial intelligence in nukes or integrating in nukes. I don't really know what it is, but it sounds weird and it sounds really dangerous. Oh, there you go. Considering the recent incident fell. Oh, look at this person. Incident failed robot test by the US Air Force. I haven't seen it, mate. Being Kivsa, if you got a video, if you got information, please share it with us. Share it on Telegram. There's a commentary section. You can comment there. Please share it with us. And I haven't read about this. I wish I could. I like to read about everything. So I wish I could, and then we can argue about this, yeah? Oh, so here is Angela P1225. Just come live. I'm inviting you so you can give us your version of what's happening in Ukraine. We really want to hear it. We want to hear your point of view. I check your profile. You got quite a lot of followers, quite a lot of people that believe in what you're saying, which is actually good. We just want to hear a different perspective from what's going on in Ukraine. So Angela, if you want to join, please just come and join. I'm inviting you all the time. We just want to know what is your point of view. It is not a war. Okay, Angela, if it's not a war, what is it? Someone invade your home, is that a war? Of course it is a war. That's how war starts, isn't it? Like someone invades your house, the war starts. That's a war, definitely. So whether you like it or not, this is how you start a war. But I mean, Angela, just join in it. Just join the live so we can discuss this, please. Be my guest today. People are waiting for you. Okay, tell me, are you Putin? I'm asking you are for Putin. What that actually means, though? Putin is a conservative guy in Russia. I don't like many of his policies, but I like his personality. Yes, I like his personality. I think that many leaders should learn from Putin. should learn the way in which he's protecting his country, in the way in which he's protecting his people, and how he's helping his country to develop, and how he's thinking about the progress of his country. Right now in the West, you don't have a strong leaders here. Like, why there's no strong leader in the West saying we wasted money in Ukraine? Can we stop this? Why there's no strong leaders in the West saying, mate, the electric bills are going up, the gas bills are going up, our people are struggling. There's people in the West that they can't afford to pay electricity bills. They can't afford to go out with their kids or anything. Why there's no one here saying to the actual government, please, can you stop sending money to Ukraine? Can you stop this war so we can stop the high prices? Okay. Why there's no one saying that? Well, Putin actually, when the Ukrainians were getting ready to attack Crimea and to take it back, if you believe that, what he did is he attacked Ukraine. He saw them coming. He saw them coming and he said, you guys not going to do that. You're not going to threaten Russia. And what he did is attack. Not many countries do that. Not many countries have the capability and ability to do it. But he did it. So as I say, I don't like his politics. But him as a person, he's a strong leader, just like Churchill was. I don't like Churchill as a person, but I can say he was a strong leader. He made the right decisions for his country, just to help his people, even though they were bad for other countries. As I say, I don't support him, but I like his character. So why don't you come live here, Angela? You got videos with thousands of views. We see your face. We see you talking on your profile. Just come live and let's discuss this together. What I don't like is people that want to share something, but they are not capable to come in public. When you have your own profile, you got your own videos. Come live, please. Send an invite. Come live. Let's discuss this together. It will be easier to discuss it this way rather than me reading your comments. So if you want to access our Telegram group, please go on the profile. On the biography, you're going to see a link to our website. Just click on that and it will take you to Telegram. And an alternative way is just go on Telegram, search for Intel Solid 1, and then you'll find us. Just join the group. It's public. Anyone can join it. So Angela is saying, Angela, who doesn't want to join and discuss this, she's saying, what do you want him to do to take Ukraine? Is that it? I mean, we're talking about Russia. Please stop saying Putin. It's like saying Zelensky is the one taking orders, making the decisions in Ukraine. It's a structure. It's a whole country. Russia is a whole country as well. You got the military, you got the public. Everyone is together. At least 85% of people are together in this war, and they're supporting the decision of his leader. So stop saying Putin. This is Russia against the West, Russia against NATO. So I want him to take Ukraine. No, I told you already on the comment. Before 2022, which is the year in which you realize that there was a war in Ukraine, and it is the year in which you realize where Ukraine is located on the map. In that year, okay, is when Russia decided to take action against the oppression of the Russian population in Ukraine. Before that, in 2014, there was a coup d'etat in the country. There was a coup d'etat. I don't know if you know what that is, but if there is a coup d'etat tomorrow in Jamaica, I'm sure you're not going to support it. You don't remove a government by force, okay? If you are a democratic country, what you call for early elections. You do whatever you want to do, but you don't send a squad of people with cocktail molotovs and with weapons to shoot the president. That's wrong. And the president of Ukraine at that moment was Mr. Yanukovych. He fled the country basically for his life and the life of his family. Okay, we've seen Ukrainian extremists basically putting people in crosses and burning them alive. We saw them chopping off heads. We saw them doing barbaric things. If you haven't seen that, tell me. I'll send you the videos abusing women, children, men, everyone. So since 2014, after the coup d'etat, what happened in Ukraine is you have a civil war. There were people in the country that disagree with the coup d'etat. which installed a government that was pro-Western in the country, that they were willing to listen to everything the USA said. During that time in 2014, I remember people saying I was not right. The US has no involvement. Well, tell me if the US has involvement today. They're sending money, they're sending weapons, they're giving instructions to Ukraine not to surrender. So, not to reach a peace agreement, okay? So after 2014, the people in the east of Ukraine, which are the Russian-speaking population, they did say, we want more autonomy, okay? Because we don't agree with what you guys are doing in the local, in the regional, sorry, in the central government. So the Ukrainians say, no. There is a video from the former president of Ukraine, Mr. Petro Poroshenko, saying that the the kids in the east of Ukraine, they're not going to sleep, they're not going to go to school because they're going to be bombed and they're going to live in a shelter while the kids are going to enjoy their life. Well, today he's the one in the shelter. So he was saying that in public. In public, you have Ukrainian nationalists threatening people, even eliminating people, okay? After this, after seeing all these, I'm losing my words. After saying all these words, which were hostile, the Eastern people, they say, we're not having it. So they took weapons, just like it happened in history. War is part of history. As human beings, we've seen war all the time. So they took up arms to fight against the government that took control by force, okay, not democratically. And that ignited a civil war. So during the civil war, these two regions in the Donbass, they decided to become independent by force, okay? And they asked Russia for help. Who else is going to come to help them? They are Russian. So ethnically, these people are Russians. They speak Russian. So they asked Russia for help. And for 8 years, Russia didn't do much. You had volunteers, people from Russia going into the Donbass just to help them militarily and stuff like that. Russia took Crimea, of course. They have a military base there. They have a naval base there. It's been there for many, many years. So the objective of the United Kingdom and the USA was to kick Russia out of Sebastopol. And the Russia say, you're not having it. Simple as that. This is war. So if the West wants war with Russia, Russia is giving war to the West. Simple as that. And then after that, in 2022, the Russians had enough. They had enough because they saw the Ukrainians preparing to attack. They didn't know where, but they had in mind that they will attack Crimea, and effectively they were getting ready for it. And what Russia did, it started the special military operation to neutralize this threat. So they can't speak the truth in the West because anyone who decides to stand with the truth will be killed. Oh God, I don't know if you go to that extreme, maybe if you're in Ukraine, but actually in the West, there are people losing their jobs for sharing their political views regarding this war. So there are people being silenced. There are people that they can't say anything because of this, and they might agree or disagree with the war. But there's people that they don't want to engage into a political debate because it's too risky right now in the West. So they complain about Russia. They say it's an autocracy. They say there is no freedom or liberties. But here in the West, actually, freedoms have been suppressed, and there's quite a lot of people that they're afraid of talking because of the consequences. Thanks for your comment, RDK. Never broke again. So I've been asking for some time but never answer me. You've been asking, is that for the Telegram profile? Well, I'll send you a message. I'll send you a message with a link to the Telegram group. I asked you a question and then I'll go live with you. Are you for Putin? I already said I'm not for Putin, Angela. I'm not for Putin. I don't like his policies, but I like him. I like the actions he's taking to defend his country. So come live. Come live. I responded to your question. Come live. Come on, Angela. I'm going to invite you. Let me see how we do this. Let me add you as a guest. There you go. I sent you an invitation. This has been recorded. So if you don't join, because you promised that you're going to come live, if you don't join, I got evidence. Okay, join us, Angela. We just want to discuss this. We just want to see your point of view. I swear it's not gonna be a confrontation here. Um, I understand your point of view. I just want to listen to it and see what is it. So please join. You just say you're gonna go live, so let's go. Most Americans are naive, according to Jay Swa Jr., and the government feed on the naivety. This war could have ended. I agree. The war could have ended long ago. That's the problem. At the very beginning of the war, the Ukrainians sat with the Russians to find a peace agreement, a peace solution to the conflict. They were interested, but then you have the Ukrainian negotiators dying. Some of them they got killed. Recently, the Ukrainian government admitted that they killed one of them, and he was the financial negotiator. He got killed. His body was thrown on the middle of the street. What the hell is that? And the Russians did not kill him. Okay, they say he was a Russian spy. Why? Because he was looking for a good future for his country. Because he saw this coming. He saw this destruction, this devastation. He saw all these deaths. And he thought that the best thing to do is surrender. If you surrender, actually, what the Russians are asking, they're not asking for territory. All they're asking for is, don't be part of NATO, mate. Simple as that. Don't bring NATO to our door. Don't do that. You have no right to do that. Okay? They can decide to do it, but they don't have the right to do it. Because we can see that Ukraine doesn't have the right. Otherwise, they would have done it. And they would have been protected by NATO. But they haven't been protected by NATO. Ukraine has been destroyed, decimated completely now. Okay? So I read the US forces tested an AI drone, and when it was asked to avoid target, could imagine you give that level of autonomy to machine. Imagine if it turns back and it start killing American soldiers. That would be nuts. That would be nuts. So Angela, you're talking too much, Angela. Just join the live, please. Just join the live. So is there analyze that Putin doing is justified on John babies and old people? Angela, I don't know what Putin is doing on John babies. You're saying Putin went to Ukraine and he kidnapped some John babies in his car and then did something to them? If that's what you mean, just please come live and explain it to me, because I haven't seen that information before. If you mean Russian soldiers, what they're doing to John babies, well, this is a war. There are civilian casualties on both sides, but there's one side that is deliberately killing civilians, and that's not the Russian side. So the only person that can stop this is Putin. Actually, no, Putin cannot stop this. There is a whole structure in Russia that they support this war and they want this end now. Not only end, they want the destruction of the whole country of Ukraine. Putin is stopping this. Keep that in mind. He's a moderate, but there are people in Russia that they want this stop now. They want to see what they saw in Dresden, okay, in 1944-45. They want to see that. Kiev destroyed, devastated to the ground, carpet bomb, like we saw in Warsaw. That's what they want to see. So say thank you that this guy is there, because otherwise we would have seen a massacre. A massacre. It's around 200,000 people that die in Dresden. Imagine if the Russians did that in Kiev, because they can do it, but they haven't done it yet. And they will not do it. As long as Putin is in power, he's not going to do that. He's sane in his mind. He's not insane. But I tell you, his replacement might be insane. And he might not conduct the war in the way Putin is doing it. So it then saw the operator as an obstacle. Oh shit. So he attacked the command center. Goodness. Yeah, definitely. Bin, share that on Telegram, share that anywhere, please. I'll look for it anyways. I'll look for it. So Jesua, Angela, are you against all wars or just when it happens in Europe? Angela, come live, answer to these questions just like I'm doing myself. You got a good profile, way too many followers. Please come live, let your followers put comments as well, and let's discuss this like mature people, you know, like civilized people. Please join the live. I sent you 3 invites already. So people that support the West are still kids, probably 1988 kids. They should go back to history. Yo, RDK never broke again. Okay. I wasn't born in 1988, but I think I know what you mean. You're talking about that generation. But I think even the generations after that, they're worst when it comes to understanding politics. They don't know anything, but they will fall for any sentiments that is shared on the social media platforms. So as soon as they see someone crying on social media, they will cry together with them, and then they will believe whatever they're trying to spread, whether it's a lie or it's truth. But I think right now people are moved by sentiments from certain people. So, oh, Angela is replying to Jay. So, Jay, I do not like to see people getting hurt from both sides. So, if you don't like that, Angela, why are you not asking for an end to this conflict? Please, Angela, tell us, is the USA offering peace? Is the European Union offering peace? Is Ukraine offering peace? No. Zelensky said it won't be peace until the Russians leave the country and Crimea is returned to Ukraine. Mate, the Crimeans don't want to be part of Ukraine. So what he's talking about? And at the same time, you got the chief of intelligence of Ukraine saying that when they go to Crimea, they will deal with these people. That's a threat. The same threat they sent to the people in Kherson. When they took Liman, they did the same thing. They retaliated against the people that they call collaborators, teachers from the schools. They call them collaborators. And there are ugly videos of Ukrainian soldiers doing really bad things, hurting people, Angela, and throwing them in a pit. Men, women, families. So, oh, goodness. Anyways, everything is on Telegram for you to see. But please join the live, Angela. Look, I'm going to send you another invite, okay? Be my guest today. I just don't like people that talk all the time, but they don't join. You did say you're going to join if I say if I'm for Putin or whatever. Just join the live. Let's talk. Let's talk. You got a profile and you share quite a lot of content. Please, let's talk. So stop the West from sending armory to Ukraine. They should help with the peace treaty. Juma Ryakuka. True. Russia is getting its own weapons. They got their own weapons. But the West is sending weapons to Ukraine. So people like Angela, I don't understand. How can you say that they're seeking peace if they keep sending weapons? If you stop the flow of weapons, that will force Ukraine. Who is this? Someone wants to join. I'm going to decline. Please, you need to tell me why you want to join. I don't want someone appearing here with someone dancing or whatever. Okay, so if they want peace, why they keep sending weapons to Ukraine? If they want peace, what they should do is sit and negotiate. No one in the West is doing this. No one. And when we see that the Ukrainians, the Russians are about to reach an agreement, we got who? We got the UK Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, jumping in and saying, mate, don't give up. We're going to support you. Where is Boris Johnson now? Where is he? Is he still there? No, he's not. He's not in government. He's not the Prime Minister anymore. Boris Johnson is being kicked out, basically, of government. And he's the same person that convinced Zelensky to continue fighting, okay? So because Putin tried to take the land, Putin is not trying to take land, Angela. It's not Putin, it's Russia, please. It's not Putin. Putin is the head of the state, but he doesn't make decisions. I mean, his decisions are not, final. It's not just him making decisions. He's got advisors. There are ministers. There are people in Russia that have power as well. And it's not just because Putin says we're going to do this, that people actually do it. I think, Angela, you need to look at how the political system in Russia works. Once you understand how the political system works in the Duma, you'll understand how decisions are made in Russia. People in the Duma need to vote every single suggestion made by Putin, okay? Every single one of them. And some of them were not voted. Some were, some were not. I mean, stop saying this is Putin that wants to take territory. It's childish. It's childish. Not only childish, this is psychological war. This is how you fight wars in the media. Remember, like, when you have 9/11, You have a boogeyman, right? You have Osama bin Laden. Then you have Saddam Hussein in Iraq. Then you have Gaddafi. All of these guys, they were represented as monsters, as evil people, right? As people that didn't care for their population, okay? You need to create that enemy in order to convince you people to go to war and to finance a war, to prolong a war, and to keep the war ongoing. If you don't do that, you can't do it. So you always have to create an individual, a person, a profile that they will hate or they will be afraid of if it comes closer to them. Okay? I can tell you, Putin, mate, he's a moderate, he's soft. Putin is soft. So only stop war, Western stop supply. Yeah, that's right, Sufa. So what do you want the Ukrainians to do? Well, to just speak to the Russians? Okay. Angela, another war, people, not babies. Okay, that story has been twisted in favor of Putin. Oh my God, Angela, you're getting attacked. You are getting attacked in the commentary section. Just come live. Just come live. Fight these guys, Angela. Don't allow them to do this to you. They're trying to destroy you, Angela. Come live. Come discuss this live. It is no war. Is it that this lunatic chose to do what he's doing to Putin is lunatic? Okay. Does Crimea belong to Russia? I bet you are going to tell me yes, right? Yes? Now it does. I mean, who's got political control over Crimea? Russia. Simple. Angela, you are those kind of people that don't like to understand history. The history of human beings, the history of how countries have been created is just like this. One country invades another country, takes over its territory, they reach a peace agreement because one country loses, and then that territory becomes part of that country. There are territories between Germany and France that they are disputed in people's minds, but in agreements they're part of France or they're part of Germany. Okay, so the Ukrainians don't want to recognize it, the Americans don't want to recognize it, but actually Crimea for the last 8 years have been part of Russia, and this is a fact. People cannot ignore facts. Who's got political control over Crimea and physical control is the Federation of Russia. So Crimea is Russia. Simple as that. If you don't like it, well, up to you. It's like saying that this small enclave in Spain called, how you call it? So Spain has got 2 enclaves in northern Africa. It is within Morocco, basically. It's called Ceuta and Melilla, okay? It's like them, it's like the Moroccans saying Ceuta and Melilla is Morocco. No, it's actually Spain, because Spain holds political control over those 2 territories. Okay? Okay. Crimea was always Russian. True. Crimea, in fact, was gifted to Ukraine by the leaders of the Soviet Union. I believe it was, who was it? Was it Lenin who gifted that to the Ukrainians? And that's how Crimea became part of Ukraine. And then the country of Ukraine, as we know it today, was Russian territory that was gifted by Soviet leaders, basically. Well, apart from the western part. And some of the western part of Ukraine used to be Poland and other countries as well. You know, even Hungary, it's got part of the territory there, and Bulgaria, I think. So, no, it is not. It wasn't and will not. Okay, this is Angela responding wherever she wants to. She's not understanding history here. Oh God, it's too many comments, guys. Sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go all the way to the bottom because there's a long conversation here. So do not tell me what to care about, okay? I control my own narratives. What if you do, Angela? Come live to discuss the war in Ukraine. I sent you 10 invites now. 10 invites. So I invite you again. I think this is how you do it, right? Yeah, you just press invite and that's it. Angela, come live so we can discuss this, please. You promised me that you come live anyways. So, okay. I think Angela is discussing with everyone. Guys, he's got an arsenal of responses. So get ready for that. Get ready for that. But the question that Angela cannot answer is why did the Ukrainians decided to oppress the Russian-speaking population in the east part of Ukraine? This was one of the main reasons why the Russians decided to go and intervene. And I wish many countries help the diasporas this way, because there are diasporas for one country into other countries. There are too many in all the countries, basically. And sometimes the diasporas are abused. In this case, you got, how to say, individuals trying to commit genocide, basically genocide against the Russian population in eastern Ukraine. And they did say it publicly. Say they didn't commit it, but I say there's some people encouraging that. So as soon as you hear that, you need to take action. Actually, the actions taken by Russia in 2022, they went through the UN, by the way, and there is a protocol in the UN which is called the Right to Protect, and which is the same protocol that the USA used in Libya, because the USA did say that Gaddafi was carrying out a genocide in southern Libya, and he was giving pills to his soldiers to rape women and children and stuff like that. And they used this same protocol, the Right to Protect, to intervene in Libya, even though the United Nations did not approve it at the beginning, and the US decided to just go into Libya and bomb the hell out of everyone there. But Russia, they went to the UN and they brought evidence to prove that Ukrainians were oppressing the population in the east, and they have been doing that for 8 years. But the UN, obviously controlled by the USA and other Western powers, they did not listen to this. And as there is an institution that looks for peace and stability in the world and is not doing its job, I think Russia saw the necessity to intervene in Ukraine and stop that threat and stop the killing of Russian-speaking individuals. I mean, it is just wrong. Just imagine if I don't know, in the United Kingdom, you get the central government saying that the people in Scotland should die because they speak another dialect up there, or the people in Wales should die, and then they start oppressing them, they start prohibiting them from speaking the language. And or even though, imagine they decide that the whole Jamaican diaspora in the UK, they cannot speak, I don't know, whatever language they might have there, and then, or even they can't use the accent when they're speaking. So this is what Ukraine was doing in eastern Ukraine. Not only that, they were changing the educational curriculum in the country, and they're saying stupid things, lunatic things like Ukraine created the world and things like that. It's really stupid things, to be honest. And the Russians form material from this school, that are indoctrinating schools that have been created by the extremist Ukrainians, and the material is just absurd, the amount of things that we're doing there. Not only that, as I say, there's way too many videos of the abuse of the population. Even during the war in 2022, the Ukrainians were basically hiding in public buildings where people live. Just imagine you're in your house, you're in your flat, and then you hear soldiers throughout the corridor. They smash your door, they get in and they say, this is our position now, so you need to leave. So this is what they were doing to people. And then the Russians, in some instances, they did shoot buildings because those were the positions from which the Ukrainian soldiers were shooting. And just don't believe my words. Just go to Amnesty International, who got into a big problem because they did say this. They did show evidence showing that Ukrainians were using the civilians as human shield, and they were basically shooting from these positions that were located in highly populated areas. And obviously they're also placing tanks, anti-air defense systems right in the middle of the houses. And then the Russians were destroying it and hitting civilians as well. So one of the main things we need to understand about this war is that the Russians are not fighting this war at 100%. They're just fighting it at 20% because they have limitations. And the limitations is they're fighting another Slavic country, okay? So they have fighting another Slavic country, which means that they have too many things in common. They have a history in common. And more in eastern Ukraine, these people are Russians, ethnically Russians. So Russia cannot carry out a campaign of bombing like the US did in Fallujah, because if they did that, they would be killing their own people. So this is why they're carrying out very precise hits to specific targets, military targets in Ukraine, and they're trying to avoid civilian casualties as much as possible. But trust me, If this was another country, as we know, the former head of NATO, he did say recently that the Western countries might create a small coalition of countries to just get into Ukraine, to intervene in Ukraine. So if this was another country in the West, let's say Poland or any of the Nordic countries, I don't think Russia will have so much mercy as they're having with Ukraine. I don't think they will be operating the way they're operating in Ukraine. We've seen war. Listen, I'm 30. I'm 32 years old, and since I was born, I've seen war all the time. I haven't seen peace in this world. So I don't know what Angela is talking about. I haven't seen peace for 32 years. Every single year or every 5 years, there's a war, and the majority of the wars have been orchestrated by the USA. And so I don't hate the country. I don't hate the people. I hate the policy, the external policy towards other countries. And it's just boring seeing war after war non-stop. And the USA is always involved one way or another way. Okay. So, Angela, you need to take this into consideration. The war did not start last year. It started in 2014. And I think this is the main question you need to answer. How much do you know about the crimes committed by the Ukrainian government against their own population in eastern Ukraine? How much you know about that? You keep saying the Russians are doing this, the Russians are doing that. What do you know about the crimes from the Ukrainians? Or do you know about it and you're not even considering it? Please tell us. Come live. Tell us now. Tell us now, Angela. You never speak of the things that Russia did to girls and old women and children. Well, let me tell you one thing. You know the Ukrainian official who was saying that, who was the people's representative or something like that. She was sacked. She was sacked from her position because she was caught telling lies. She even did an interview on TV in which they asked her, have you got evidence to prove that the Russians are raping kids, they're killing kids, this and that, everything that you have been saying for a year? She did say, no, I don't have any evidence. And they did ask, so why are you saying this? And what she said is, if I don't say this, we won't get support from people. Simple as that. So all these things you're saying here, Angela, I'm not saying they're not true. Maybe something like that happened, okay? Maybe something like that happened. But what I'm saying to you is look at the Ukrainian side first and how many have been caught telling lies continuously, non-stop, okay? You, Angela, you've been educated and yet you refuse to learn. Hey, thank you. Hey. So, Angela, please come live and educate me because we have to learn from each other. When human beings communicate, they understand each other. They understand their perspective. And I think this is what is missing in the war in Ukraine. Ukraine and Russia are not sitting together. Russia has offered sitting with Ukraine many times, but Ukraine is refusing to sit with Russia. They even want to sit with China. What the hell? What are they going to sit with China for? But they want to sit with China. And Russia is saying the truth. Why are we going to sit with Ukraine if the government has been taken by an external power? We need to sit with the USA. They are the ones calling the shots. Okay? So that's the main thing. So it was Ukraine that started the war, says LDK, never broken again. Seems some people don't know the truth about this war. Thank you. And this is what I've been saying all the time. It's what I've been saying. You can't take control of a country by force. Simple as that. You can't take guns, give guns to people, pay people to go into a public demonstration, which turns out into some kind of popular control revolution by an external power. And then you select who you're going to put in the government. This is what Victoria Nuland did. There was a call that was completely hacked by the Russians, in which she says that, I want Klitschko here. I want this guy on the other part of the government. Come on, please. People like Angela, please, you need to come live and provide proof of what you're saying. So, will you tell me that I'm brainwashed because I'm feeding and help Africa kids? What the fuck? Why would you say that? Why would you say that? What does feeding African kids has to do with this? Let me tell you one thing, yeah, about feeding African kids. African kids They got too much food already. Trust me. Food doesn't work like the West. You don't have a supermarket. You have your own plantation and you eat. So the pictures you've seen from all these organizations that help Africa, for example, these are pictures from the specific areas in Africa, tiny areas where there is a war, where there is, I don't know, a flood, or where there is extreme poverty. But if you go to Africa today, you're gonna see cities advance just like the cities you see in the West. So please don't let these NGOs lie to you and show you the worst pictures from Africa. Because I can also go right now to the USA, I don't know, to Florida or to any other state and take pictures of the people that are injecting on the streets, and then I can create an NGO and convince people to give me money just to help the Americans because all the Americans are injecting. And then you send money actually thinking that you're feeding these people, but all the money you send in is going to marketing for these NGOs. It's going for marketing. The individual, I mean, the head of the NGO is in a six-figure salary or even more, millions. NGOs, if you work for an NGO, minimum, if you're in a good position, you earn 30K. And the people they send to other countries, they're earning 100K. So if they really want to help African kids to come out of poverty and to eat food every day, then they need to give out part of the salary because that salary is what you're giving to them. And you don't actually know if you're feeding them. But if you're one of those persons that go to Africa and you yourself, you get food to kids, please don't do that. There's no point doing that. The problem there is the government. It's the government. Don't feel sad for African people. African people know how to eat. They've been alive for many years. They've been in this earth before other races, other ethnicities. So African people know how to survive in the worst scenarios you ever seen, in the desert, in the jungle around wild animals. African people don't need that help from Western people. Trust me. All they need is a government that cares for them. A government that uses the money they obtain from selling minerals and from selling natural resources and use it to help the people to create some kind of a welfare state like the Western countries have. So an individual act, it can help, but don't think that you're helping African kids, please. Okay. Oh, thanks for the rose, by the way. Someone sent me rose. Thank you very much. I don't know what that did, but thank you. That was really nice. You watch too much. Oh, Angela, you've been destroyed. Goodness. What's going on? These followers are just destroying you, Angela. Just join the live session. I'm going to send you another invite. Let's see if you want to join. I'm going to send you another invite. There you go. Send you another invite, Angela. Just join. Respond to these guys. How can they say this to you, Angela? Come on. Come on live. Come on live. Let's discuss this. Respond to these guys using your voice. Okay? Okay. So, Angela, you are the star today. You are the star. This is your show. So, Angela is saying, so the Russians don't do Ukraine anything, right? Is that what you are saying? I think is that for me? I didn't say that. I didn't say that. The Russians are doing to Ukraine what the Ukrainians want the Russians to do to them. Or the Ukrainian government, rather. I'm sorry. If the Ukrainian government decides to sit down and to reach a peace agreement, this will be over. If the Ukrainian government decides to stop listening to the USA, this will be over. No one is forcing Ukraine to take the cool aid from the USA. No one is forcing Ukraine to launch an offensive against Russia. Okay? So the Russians are there because Ukraine has become too much of a threat. So they have to protect the country. We've seen the recent attacks in Belgorod. You see what they're doing? They're killing random people. There was a video, yeah, you got these Ukrainian soldiers going into Belgorod, shooting at a car. So someone just minding his own life, going to his job, or I don't know. They shoot him in his car. It's like, what are you guys doing? What is this? What are you guys doing? Like carrying out an incursion in Russia with no goals whatsoever. They went there to die. So people in Russia see this, okay? They see how these Ukrainians and the Russian nationalists, they go into Russia and they kill people. They're shelling the area in Belgorod as well. So they see this and they're like, we're not having that. We're not having that. And they're saying, Putin, give us weapons because we're going to protect our houses, our families. Okay? So this is exactly how the people in eastern Ukraine were feeling since 2014 when they saw Ukrainian tanks going into the cities and oppressing their people, killing local government officials, okay, and oppressing their people. The Eastern Ukraine military was part of the Ukrainian army, but they decided to fight against them. This is what we call a civil war. And people like Angela don't know what a civil war is. They don't know why a civil war starts, and they don't know the consequences of a civil war. Once you understand what's a civil war, you will understand what's going on in Ukraine. If you don't do that, I'm sorry. I cannot help you. It's just like arguing with a wall. A wall, what it does, you throw walls, you throw your voice to a wall, and everything comes back to you. You hear yourself. Because whatever the wall is saying, that makes sense to you, innit? Because it's not saying nothing. So, there you go. How will us react? That's what happened in Ukraine. So, I bet I was showing all blacks, you guys wouldn't feel this way, right? I bet if I was showing all blacks, you guys wouldn't feel this way, right? Okay, I think what Angela is trying to say here is if the Ukrainians were black people, maybe people wouldn't care about this. That's exactly what I say to you, Angela. That's exactly what I say to you. I know there are people dying in Ukraine. There are civilians dying. And I feel sad for this. This shouldn't be happening. But the Ukrainian government was seeking this. They were looking for this. And they say it publicly, they don't care. If you don't hear it, it's because you're not looking for it. They did say this many times. God, Angela, you're getting destroyed here. Poor. Come live, bring your followers because this is a massacre. This is mad. Look how they're attacking you. They say, in your face, Angela, they're saying, God bless President Vladimir Putin. In your face. Oh, you can't allow this, Angela. Come live, bring your followers, please come live. This is wrong, Angela, please. Oh, Angela, join again. Angela, come in, please, and respond to these guys. They're attacking you too much, man. Too much. Okay, let's go all the way down. Oh, too many comments. Sorry, guys. I'm just low today. Snail mode, man. Okay, so they did not say they don't care. That's not true. Oh, who's she responding to? Angela, sister, let me help you. Satan gonna use bricks to fight Chris' army. So Russia's gonna win this one. Angela, they're destroying you. Come in. I'm just inviting Angela. But if someone wants to join the live, please just let me know. Send an invite, yeah, and join. As long as you don't put a video of someone dancing there, I don't mind. I want to discuss this with people. I want to discuss this topic with people. And Angela, I'm gonna send you another invite. Okay, everyone is a witness right now, okay? I'm sending an invite to Angela because she's been sending way too many comments. We've been discussing extensively what she thinks is the situation in Ukraine. I've gave my point of view on my videos, on my comments, and right now on this live session. So what I want is Angela to come live because she did say she's going to come live if I'm for Putin or not. I responded to this already. But Angela, she's not sticking to her words, but she keeps staying there in the commentary section. She's getting destroyed, completely obliterated, like these Leopard tanks we saw yesterday in the Ukrainian fields. Okay, what else people are saying here? Angela is a NATO lady. Okay. Stop seeing Putin and start seeing fallen angels human form. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. I'm done talking to you. You say something to me just now that I need to leave. Oh, Angela, who? You mean me? Or whoever is saying Satan and fallen angels? Saint of Sion, man. What are you doing? Anyways, the reason why we started this live is because Angela actually thinks that Putin is mad. And from one day to the other, he decided to basically invade Ukraine. So I just want her to come live so we can discuss this maturely. So just say African people don't need anybody to sorry for them. I wasn't sorry for them. African people don't need anybody. Seriously, African people don't need people from the West sending £10 a month. They don't need that. African people don't need that. I see people on the street that are less fortunate, are just to help, and everything you turn at, hey, you're not the only one helping people on the street. Everyone does. But we are talking about people in other countries that actually have political problems, political, social problems. And people, African countries are indebted. They have big debts. You know, with who? With the International Monetary Fund, with the Club of Paris, with the World Bank, and with financial institutions. That what they do is to give them loans, okay, that are less advantageous for them. These loans have a very high interest. And what the African countries do is just to pay back the interest, and that's it. And they're not forgiving these loans. Few countries have done that, mainly Russia and China. They have forgiven loans. Let me tell you one thing. Western countries have been in Africa for how long? Okay, we're talking about the era of expansionism. We're talking about colonization. We're talking about neo-colonization. So for all this period, today, they have been there. Can you tell me, for so many years, why they were unable to help African countries to progress, if that's their real aim? The UN Millennial Development Goals is to help these countries to progress. So how comes they can't do anything? They have people like you that are beautiful people, that they want to help other people, okay? But how comes they're not progressing? How comes Africans are still the same way they were like 100 years ago in certain countries? But as I say, they're showing you what they want you to see. They're not showing you big cities that are developing in Africa. Let me tell you one thing. There are cities developing in Africa. The Chinese are building Africa. And the Africans, together with the Chinese, are building Africa. Not only that, they're teaching Africans how to do things, which is something that Western powers haven't done. Western powers have abused and take advantage of this. The knowledge that the African needs to progress, it hasn't been given. But with China, for example, I'm not supporting China 100% here. But what I'm saying is that doing business with China is more beneficial. It benefits more African countries than doing business with the West. Because China actually, they might not get involved in your internal politics, like it's happening to Uganda right now. President Museveni is being chased by the USA because they passed a law to prohibit acts of homosexuality in the country, which, look, I don't support, but it's their countries, their own politics, haven't get involved. This is what China is doing. The USA send aid to these countries, and this aid has also conditions. And some of the conditions are you need to allow homosexuality, you need to allow many things. You need to free your public sector. It needs to be bought by big companies like BlackRock and stuff like that. So you people need to pay for education. They need to pay for health. They need to pay for everything. You're not allowed to have a welfare state. So this is what the Western countries have been doing in Africa. But actually, Russia and China, they're doing it differently. They're just going there for the business. They're just going there for money. They're saying, we want money to got natural resources. Let's exchange. And not only that, they're building roads. They're building trains, high-speed trains. They are building train lines in different African countries, like Kenya, for example. In Mozambique, they're also doing that. They are advancing this country. They're helping them to advance, to move forward. And they're not looking at keeping them underdeveloped to ensure that they don't think that the natural resources are theirs. This is the problem in Africa, Angela. The problem in Africa is not people are starving to death. There are too many fat African people in the continent, believe me. There are people that eat 3 meals every day or even more. African gastronomy is beautiful, okay? And there is food everywhere in Africa, in the wild. It's not like a supermarket. It's in the wild. You have your own produce. You eat from the ground. People have money. The problem is government. The problem is regulations. The problem is debt. The problem is countries getting involved in internal politics of African countries. And this is what it needs to stop in order for Africans to develop. So it's good that you're helping African kids to eat, rice or whatever. But it will be more important for you to know the truth about what's going on in Africa, which is also the truth about what's going on in Ukraine. You need to know that because Ukraine is becoming a banana republic, as they like to call them. It is becoming an African country. It's going to be exploited. It's going to be exploited at the same level Africans seen for many years. So Africans are just seeing in Ukraine what they have been seeing for decades. uh, in the countries. And they're saying, oh my God, Ukraine is going through the same path. So Ukraine is getting Africanized, okay? The same process that they did to Africa, they're doing it to Ukraine now. And you'll see Ukraine is not going to be able to recover. The debt is so high all the way to the ceiling. Let's say to the sky. Let's say to the universe. Let's say to a different galaxy. The debt is so big. It reminds us of Germany before the Second World War, which you have a situation where they have to carry out thousands of notes just to buy one apple. So Ukraine is following this path. If the Western governments they stop supporting Ukraine financially, it will be completely destroyed. So when you are in this situation, where you are getting support from Western countries, where you are getting weapons from Western countries, when you are getting subsidies for Western countries, that means that you cannot fight a war. So the problem is, if a country cannot fight a war, what they should do is to sit down with the enemies and make a deal. Why Ukraine is not doing this? This is what many people are asking themselves. Why people like Angela, they're not asking themselves this question? Why? There you go. Oh my God. I hope African leaders will refine print of China policy. Super be careful. Oh yeah, definitely. The relationship between the Sino-African relationship is not beautiful. There are many problems, just like there are in many other relationships. But when we look at it in the bigger picture, it's benefiting Africans. But as I said before, I don't support 100% this relationship. But I think it is better than the policy the West have been carrying out in Africa. It's helping them more. But now it's up to Africans. It's up to African countries to put in power or in the negotiating table people that are capable to reach good deals. Simple as that. If you reach good deals, your country is secure, is protected. Each country has its own interest. So African countries cannot be naive and think that the Chinese have the best interest in heart. They want to make money. And if they can save money, they will do it. But it's up to Africans to put, regulations in their countries just to ensure that the Chinese do not take advantage of their situation. Because Africa is not as heavily regulated as the European Union is. So many countries take advantage of that. And believe me, if the Africans put these regulations, you know what the Chinese are going to do? They're going to say, okay, we abide by it. We just follow your regulations. Simple as that. But some African countries have done this in the past to Western countries like France. And what did France do? They carry out a war. We got Ivory Coast, good example. We got Mr. Gbagbo. He was removed. He was removed by the French and replaced by some guy that used to work in the IMF. Okay, so this is the situation in Africa, and this is the situation in Ukraine. You have Mr. Yanukovych, who was removed from his post because he refused to sign sorry for my French, a shit agreement with the European Union, in which they were basically saying that he needs to free up all his public services, open up his market to private companies, basically, which is what Zelensky did. So Yanukovych saw this and he said, nah, I'm not having that. And then you have the Russians. They came in with a better deal, with a better economic deal, which is we'll continue sending gas through Ukraine. You're going to get money for this. To date, the Ukrainian government are getting money from the Russians that are transporting gas from Russia to Europe. To date, there's still business between the two countries, okay? The Ukrainians blew up like ammonia pipeline the other day. Do you know where this gas goes to? It goes to Europe. And the Russians are paying their face to the Ukrainians for using the territory to transfer this natural resource. Okay, there you go. So Yanukovych said no to this deal because it was rubbish, complete rubbish. And the Russians offering this. So we continue using the territory to send gas, oil to European countries. Not only that, we're going to support you economically. We're going to help you build in cities, more than nice in the country. I mean, you get that. And then you see the other one from the European Union saying you need to privatize, you need to become a slave of the European Union. He said, fuck that, I'm not taking that. That's what he said. Okay, someone wants to join. BMW, TTV, Trimix. I won't let you join until you tell me why you want to join. So please put in the commentary section. Anyways, the deal offered to Yanukovych by the Western countries, it was rubbish. He refused it. Okay? And as soon as he did that, you have Victoria Nuland. She came to Kiev with biscuits, giving biscuits to people like they brought a plane full of money from the USA, dollars, cash. They were paying people to be in the Maidan revolution. And this color revolution did not only happen in Russia, it happened in the Middle East, okay? What we call the Arab Spring. That happened there as well. It was the exact same tactics. They used the same tactic in Ukraine. And this is known publicly. If you study international relations, you know that countries do this. Countries do this. And that's what it is, basically. It's war. It's trying to influence a country and take over the decision of power and then manipulate them, basically. All right, let's see what's going on here. I'm not an idiot. And you act like Africa, every corner, everybody is okay. And they are not. I don't know if you've been to Africa, Angela. I'm not saying Africa is 100% okay. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that the picture that has been sold to you by the NGOs is not a true reflection of Africa. I'm sorry. Africa is a continent. You know that? There are many countries. 55, 56 countries. There are many countries in Africa. So when you say Africa, which country are you referring to? You can't even answer that question. You can't tell me which country are you referring to. You just say Africa, Africa, Africa. There are countries in Africa that are wealthy. The people are living well. It's not such problems as people dying of starvation in the street. In every African country, you see markets full of food, markets everywhere. Because Africans, they like entrepreneurship. They like to do that, sell stuff in the market, mainly women, okay? Like my mother, like my aunties. They do that. People don't starve to death. There's way too many fat people in Africa. Please stop thinking that Africa is a continent where everyone is starving. That's just wrong. It's wrong. But in the meantime, African people on the corner who can't afford, okay. Angel, stop being racist to people in Africa. True. Your argument, Angela, right now, it sounds like not racist, but I would say it's very prejudiced. It's a prejudice argument, to be honest with you. Not everyone in Africa lives like that. Okay, oh my God. To be honest, China interest is worse than Western influence in Africa. China will help, but they want everything. Oh my God. Didn't the West want everything? We have figures like Cecil Rhodes that wanted everything from South Africa all the way to Egypt. And the West, they wanted slaves. As per the modern Western states that are operating in Africa, it's the same. They're conducting wars. They're financing certain groups that they're carrying out very bad acts in African countries. As per the Chinese, I haven't seen any evidence showing that the Chinese want everything. They want business. They're bringing business. And they're building roads. They're building infrastructure in different African countries. I have actually a case from, this is from Equatorial Guinea, a small country in Western Africa, where you have Chinese that they managed to get power over a certain parts of the government. But yeah, that's it. They marry into going with government officials and stuff like that. Okay. So black people cannot be racist, says Omar Gul. I think we're diverting from the topic here, but just to answer to that, everyone can be a racist. Racism is the belief that your race is better or superior than another race. If you believe that there are multiple races, I believe there's only one, which is the human race, then you have ethnicities. But it's just the belief that you are superior than others and the others should just live worse than you. You have power over them. That's what racism is, basically. So I think by the definition of the war, anyone can be a racist. In fact, there are many people in Africa that they are racist towards other African people. In the last 2 years, have been quite a lot of crimes against Nigerian people in South Africa. and they were saying, go back to your country, we don't want Nigerians. Do you know human beings or whatever? You come here to steal, to take our jobs, to rape our women. This is the same argument we hear from racist people in the West. So racism is even in Africa, black on black, white on black, black on white as well. So racism is something that anyone can be a racist. Only thing though is something here. People can change it if they want to, but due to the nature of the human beings, it's like a drug that people really like and they subscribe to. They like to feel superior than others. They like to command, dictate, send orders to other people, and they want them to follow. So racism was used in the past, and unfortunately, it's still here today. And you just have to live with it and deal with it. I mean, look at what's happening in Ukraine right now. That's racism against Russian people. Like, not allowing them to speak the language, saying that Russian people are less than animals and things like that. That's also racism, right? And I'm sure the same thing is happening all the way around, Russian people towards Ukrainian people. So racism, anyone can be racist. That's my point of view, by the way. Okay, I'm gonna continue reading comments here, and soon I'm gonna stop this conference because Angela, obviously, she doesn't want to come live. I'm sorry, guys. I started this live for her, but unfortunately, Angela doesn't want to come live. What is this? Let me do a quick poll. Okay, let's see how many people. What is this? What is this? Anyways, I thought I could put a question there. So how many people want Angela to come live? How many people want her to come live? Angela, we want to hear you explaining to us what's going on in Ukraine. So please come live, Angela. Oh, we got good friends here. Oh, we got good friends that joined the live. Oh, I like how she said, I help Africa. Me too. Angela, it's just funny. We're not being disrespectful to you. It's just us, like, coming from there and you telling us, like, I'm helping Africans. Like, what? We don't need your help, mate. Keep your money. Seriously, just keep your money. We don't need it. It's not required. It's not required. We need you to convince your government to stop influencing the governments in Africa. Simple as that. But Africans do not need your money. Trust me. Are you reading the comment? I am. Sorry, Angela, there are too many. I have been calling racist. Do I look like I'm a racist person? I don't know. I mean, thanks for the rose, no like the one. Angela, you don't. The fact that your skin color is not white, it doesn't mean that you cannot be a racist person. But I think that you're being called a racist because of your arguments or because of what you're saying about African people, your perspective of African people, the way you see African people. You actually think that African people need coins to be able to eat and survive. But if you are in Africa, if you're an African person living there, and you hear this argument from a person living in Europe, they'll be like, fuck off. Like, we don't need your help. We don't need your coins. We're eating every day. We just need a political solution to what is happening here. Simple as that. So the fact that you're not listening to them and that you actually think that you are the savior, you're the one coming to help them because they cannot help themselves. Maybe some people might think that your argument here is, there's quite a lot of prejudice in your argument. I think that's what they mean. I didn't know. Yeah. I mean, guys, if Angela is saying she's not been racist towards Africa, it's fine. But yeah, I think maybe you need to change the way you put in your argument, Angela. I lived in Africa for 2 years. Oh, this is Carl. Let's listen to what Carl is going to say. So I lived in Africa for 2 years. Traveled through 9 countries. Decent people for the most part. You want to know what was the less part, because the most part of them were decent people. Yeah, I mean, in Africa there's everything. There's everything basically, just like in any other continent. Okay, I mean, here in Europe, you go to certain countries where it's rubbish. It's rubbish. There's poverty everywhere, extreme poverty. People cannot even eat in certain places. They have to rely on government help. Okay, in advanced countries, you have people that cannot eat. They don't work. They have to get government support to survive. Otherwise, they wouldn't even be alive. In Western countries, we've got people freezing to death, okay, because they don't have enough money to pay the gas bill, the electric bill. So they need government support. So they have a welfare state and they're lucky, okay? But certain African countries, they don't have that. Just like the USA. If you get stabbed and you don't have a credit card, you die because everything is privatized, isn't it? Okay. Thanks for your comment, Carl. John Kojo Poku. Angela is racist. Please stop giving her the attention. please, guys, have some mercy on her. She just says she's not a racist person. So if she's stating that, we need to believe it. Simple as that. Unless you have evidence to prove that she is. Her argument, her narrative, is a narrative I heard from many different people. They don't know much about Africa. But once they know and they learn about it, when they travel to Africa, they will see that in Africa there is wealthy people, many wealthy people. And sometimes these wealthy people are wealthy because they support the government in place, which is oppressing the population and taking advantage of them. So you guys make me sick to my stomach. And I'm disgusted by the way how you are treating me right now. Angela, we're not even discussing about Ukraine. We're discussing about Africa. And you can see people disagree. So come live and respond to these accusations. Just respond to it, Angela. Come live. I'm going to invite you one more time. Let's see if you're going to come live this time. Oh, Angela's gone. I can't see her here. She's gone. Guys, you kick her out with your comments. Oh, goodness. You only have 16 people here. What does that tell you? Who cares? I started this live for you, Angela. You're gone already anyways. But I've seen people with 1 million followers and they got 3 people in the live stream. So it's not about how many people are here. I don't care. I know that the people here want to discuss certain topics and this is why they're here. But for you, Angela, you did say, you promised that you come live, you didn't do it. So it's good that you left because you promised something and you didn't do it. Okay. You bought too much in Western narrative, Angela. That's Jesus is God. Okay. No like the one. There's people living in big houses who can't even pay their milkman. True. And there's many people in the West that are in debt. You can see big houses, big cars, nice clothes. All that is bought with credit. And they have to pay for that credit. So it's not actually them. And this is extreme poverty, by the way. So as soon as they cannot pay that, as soon as they lose their job, that's it. They're going to poverty. Africa is with Russia. I wouldn't say the whole continent is with Russia. In terms of people, there are people that think differently. But I think in terms of African countries and the government, many are, and many want to be, but they cannot be because there's too much US influence. But actually, Discord, what is that? I don't know what Discord is. Is that a different platform or something? I'll research later. If it helps, I'll just open one. Okay. Do you know what actually happens with African countries and their support for Russia? Because in the UN, many African countries, they were neutral. They did not support or went against Russia or Ukraine. They just say, mate, it's not our business. We don't get involved in the war in Ukraine and in the politics because we know what's happening to Ukraine because it happened to our countries. And many countries, they cannot make the decision to support 100% Russia because they know that the consequences could be really bad. And we heard Mr. Lavrov saying that he heard certain African representative, or he was told by certain African representatives that the USA was chasing them in corridors and telling them that if they don't vote against Russia, they'll see the consequences. And they were threatening, the threats were like, your kids are studying in the USA, your family live in the USA. So man, this is bad. This is bad and it's serious. So we know how things work in Africa. It's not like in the West, man. Things work completely differently and you have to be very careful down there. A Discord is similar to Telegram, but your audience is more engaging. Wow. Okay. I'll look into that. Umagu, definitely. I didn't know. I'll look into it. I'll download the app. I'll look into it. Only thing is, we got a team that that basically helps with TikTok. We got another team that helps with Instagram and Twitter, and then we got a team on Telegram. We're 4 people in total, and I create videos and I help in Telegram as well with publications, because this is where I get my information from. Okay, I'm not an expert in military stuff. I'm not, but I'm learning every day. I study international relations, so in terms of that, we can talk all day long. But in terms of military stuff, listen, I'm not an expert. I never claim to be an expert. But as I say to many people that come and say, oh, there you go, this African guy, he found a solution to everything in Ukraine. Or this TikTok guy, he knows everything about the war in Ukraine. Let me tell you one thing. If people are not capable of taking information from one source, put it together and explaining to other people in a video on TikTok, I'm sorry, you need to basically leave TikTok. Simple as that. This is called research. We do it at university. We do it at school. So you take information from different sources and then you create your own argument and you share it with people. That doesn't mean that I'm an expert. It doesn't mean that I claim to be an expert. It only means that I did some research and I want to share the information with people like you guys. So thank you very much for all your support, for everyone that is here. And even though Angela is saying it's only 10 people, 17 people, these people, they are the support I need. You remember our old account got blocked. We managed to reach 6,000 followers and then we got blocked, and because we shared a video. That video contained a swastika. So it was a video showing Ukrainian soldiers. One of them has a massive swastika, and then I don't know, this TikTok AI, it just saw the swastika and they banned the account completely. They're looking for an excuse anyways, and they managed to ban it. So we have to open another profile, and we're doing really well. So thank you to everyone that was on the other profile and they managed to find us. We couldn't communicate with everyone, but thank you for all your support. Really, it's what motivates us and what makes us to continue sharing information, okay, about the war in Ukraine, about different things that are happening in the world. And I hope you like this information, and I hope you continue supporting us. Okay, Jesus love you. Hey, Quad 623, I'm really thank you for that. I'm not a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I don't subscribe to any religion, and I respect people that follow religion, but I'm not into any religions. But thank you for the blessings, and I hope those who are Christians and don't support me listen to you. Did you study in the UK, dude? Because it comes out in your accent sometimes a little bit northern. Yeah, yes, exactly. No, northern is Birmingham. I studied there. I studied in London as well. But yeah, I studied in the UK. I studied in France. I studied in Spain as well. I studied in different countries within the European Union. Well, the UK is no longer part of the European Union. But when it comes to speaking English, obviously my accent is influenced by the place where I used to live. So yeah, it comes out sometimes. But it's a mixture of accents, right? Because I would say my main language is Spanish, then French. I speak a bit of Portuguese as well. So it's a mixture of all languages when I speak English. Same thing happens when I speak French. But Spanish is clear, 100% clear. So I'm sorry if you guys couldn't understand some of the words. I'm sorry if some of you guys got upset because I say leopard instead of leopard. But yeah, that's because of my accent. You should do daily news updates, have background images where you have articles displayed behind you. Well, actually, I do that. Oh my god, I do that. If you go to the profile, you see I do updates almost every day. Just bear in mind that I work as well, and I try to provide you updates about the war in Ukraine and other conflicts every single day. But sometimes creating this content is difficult. You have to research and you have to prepare before creating the video, and that takes quite a lot of time. And sometimes I don't have that time. But yeah, every time I try to do it. We're gonna bring more people anyways, so you're gonna see other faces as well, not just me. You're gonna see other people that I met when I was studying international politics, and they're gonna be sharing the point of view as well. And obviously, if any of you is brave enough to come and share your point of view, and you want to share a video on the profile, just let us know. Send us the video, we can share it. And if any of you want to collaborate with this project of Intel Solid, just let us know. We need support in different platforms, and also creating content and videos. So if you want to be part of this, just let us know. No, I'm not Russian. Why are you asking that? Uh, TikTok. Hi, Warlord. You back? Says hello, brother. Glory to Russia from Sri Lanka. Well, yeah. Okay, you should do daily news updates. How about on images display? Oh, TikTok live. Oh, goodness. Look, first of all, I don't know how to put images in the background. I'll find out how to do it. One. Secondly, going live is hard because I need to prepare. I need to research the information. So I'm on Telegram like many hours during the day looking for this information. It's easier for me to record it before sharing it with you guys. I don't want to do mistakes, okay? And sometimes I do, but I want to minimize the amount of mistakes I do. But it's the first time I do a live in TikTok, and it looks good. I like it. I like how people support, the comments we get in, and no one connected, so no one requested to be a guest, but it would be good to have guests. So maybe what I can do next time, I will talk to other people on TikTok that they follow the war in Ukraine as well, and I'll invite them to be a guest in one of these lives, so we can have a proper discussion in it. So we got Carl saying your information about Kosovo was interesting as well, dude. Okay, yeah, some people say I should say Kosovo. Some people say I should say Kosovo. So when I studied in university, we call it Kosovo, and in many countries it's called Kosovo. So I'm sorry if it's called Kosovo. It's not me trying to be an asshole. It's just me saying just naming it the way I know how to name it. Kosovo is, oh goodness, it's a difficult one, mate. Oh, it's a difficult one. Oh my god, yes, I can go through the articles, screenshot them, and do TikTok live. I've seen people get over 2K viewers. Interesting. Yeah, I can do that, definitely. But it has to be a number of articles, I guess. Okay, what's going on in Kosovo and Serbia? I study case study of the Yugoslavian war and the attack of NATO in Yugoslavia, and I also study the conflict between Serbia and Kosovo. Okay, and it was ugly. It was ugly. I don't like it because the massacres that were committed from both sides is just, it breaks my heart, man. And I have to see the images, and sometimes I have to see the videos, because when you're documenting things or when you're doing research, you have to see these things, and it was hard to watch the amount of things that people did to each other. And I hope this is not going to be the case today, tomorrow, or in the future. But obviously, there are cultural differences, there are political differences, and obviously the NATO is there. NATO is there. What is NATO doing there? They bombed Belgrade, and now they're supporting the independence of Kosovo, which is basically a violation of the internal politics of a country, right? And if other countries recognize Kosovo as independent, it's fine. And I think Kosovo is independent enough, to be a country. And if they identify as different compared to the Serbians, I mean, they should be given the opportunity at least to run the country. I know some Serbian people will disagree with this because they do believe that Kosovo historically was part of Serbia, which could have been, depending on what period of history you go to. But that war needs to stop. The killing that happened, it cannot happen anymore, man. It will be really sad to see. And what happened recently with these two mayors that they were voted in the north, I mean, that's just wrong. 5% support, and then you get voted and put forcibly, but they force these guys in there. That's wrong. It's a wrong decision made by Kosovo authorities. And I think the response from Serbia was expected anyways. But the fact that NATO is there, actually, NATO at the moment is necessary there to avoid a conflict. War's not war it is at the moment. They're there as peace forces. It's necessary. But the problem is they're not impartial. NATO is very biased towards Kosovo, okay? And they were attacking the Serbians basically. Instead of sitting down and understanding the situation and trying to see what will be the best solution, they support Kosovo and then they attack Serbia. So I think they shouldn't have done that. But I think the peace forces are necessary there. Personally, I think that the peace forces are necessary there, and to avoid this conflict. But what they should be doing, instead of supporting independence so much, they should be supporting a kind of a program of reconciliation between these two peoples, and see them actually finding peace and living peacefully together. That's what they should be doing, and this is possible. We have the genocide in Rwanda, where you have Tutsis and Hutus killing each other and massacring each other. And nowadays, the country of Uganda and Rwanda, you have these two people living together. Obviously, we still have quite a lot of refugees, Hutu refugees in Congo, and we have Rwandan groups that are going into Congo to kill these people. But those that remain, they managed to find a peaceful settlement, and this was due to the support provided in that sense. But I don't see this in the Balkans. I don't see it there. So NATO is what the who is this? You got a long name. User 547104577539. He came in to say that NATO is a defensive group. A defensive group that goes all the way to Libya and bomb the hell out of Gaddafi. How defensive is that? A defensive group that create a group to go to Iraq and Afghanistan and bomb them. How can NATO be seen as a defensive group? I'm sorry, user 54. That's a joke. If you want to come live to discuss this, you're welcome. You can't. NATO is not required. The Soviet Union is gone for good. It's just gone. Okay. Now you got Russia, which basically inherited, let's say, the history of the Soviet Union. And many people see Russia as the Soviet Union. It is not the same thing. It's not. Russia was part of the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union started due to a revolution in Russia. And after that revolution, there was a civil war. And then you got people in Russia that completely disagree with the Soviets. After all, the Soviets also got support from the West, according to some sources. Anyways, they did their own thing in Russia. That's part of history. But the Russia we see today is very different compared to Soviet Russia. It's completely different. The politics, the society. I even say that is the opposite. Putin is not a Soviet guy. He's not. The Soviets at the beginning, they didn't like religion. They didn't allow Christian Orthodox religion. At the end, yes, Stalin was a bit more sympathetic towards them. But I mean, no, NATO is not a defensive group. NATO attack countries. NATO bomb leaders in other countries that are in Northern Africa, mate. How can you be a defensive country? Did Libya attack Europe? Did Libya attack any NATO country? So why did NATO go to Libya and drop bombs? And then you come here saying that it's a defensive group. Please, no way. No way. I mean, with your education background, even 5 articles would be enough. Commenting, yeah, definitely, Omar Gul. I will take this into consideration, but I'm a person who likes to, I'm not a perfectionist, I'm a person who likes to do things in the proper way. So I want to familiarize with this way of creating videos. Once I familiarize with it, trust me, you'll get bored of seeing these type of videos if I like it. Yeah. So definitely, I will try to do more lives as you suggest. So Smoothie T in his time frame, yes, because he was prophet at that time. I don't know who he's responding to. Jesus is the only way. Okay. I don't get involved in religion, guys. I got to go. I don't understand how people can come and say that. Okay. All right, guys. It's time to stop the live. Thank you very much for everyone that was part of the live and for contributing. I hope you like it. And I'll see you next time. I'm preparing some videos, so you'll see soon more updates about the war in Ukraine. I'll continue informing you.